Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV Podcast 506. A little chilly here in Wisconsin, and
cooled off today.
We'll have to save this for the after show, and without Googling it, maybe you know the answer, and I'm not going to Google it. As I rolled into your city here in the northeastern suburbs of Milwaukee, it says you're a bird city.
We are like America's bird city or something.
Oh, it's America's bird? You're
don't
not
know.
just a bird city, you're like the bird city?
I think it has a lot to do with the Autobahn that's right in our area. So
I have so many questions. Well, people who got birdies this weekend will be part of the conversation for sure. In just a few moments, we're going to welcome in Connor Rock, who was taking care of some business. Hopefully his blackjack or slot game was just as good as his disc golf game, but Connor Rock was doing workout at the Las Vegas Challenge this weekend.
You think he doubled his winnings? just like you're on fire, walk into the roulette table, or maybe just blackjack all on one hand.
You cash the check from Jeff Jacqua and the Las Vegas Club. You take it right to the casino. Oh, would that not be so effing epic? I mean,
that's a baller move, but that's a high baller move right there.
It is.
I don't know if Connor's at that level yet. We can ask him though.
We will. And a little while after we have Connor join us, we're going to also talk to another champion out on the West Coast, and that being Ezra Robinson. He's going to join us as well. So let's not mess around. Let's find out what games this guy was or wasn't playing. Was he pressing his luck? Our champ from Las Vegas, Connor Rock. What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Not as good as you. I mean, shredding a final round and taking down some very notables. We didn't even get into it, all the people you beat just yet, but we will. But taking down a Las Vegas Challenge 2 days after it. How are you feeling right now?
It's still taking time to set in. It's been a pretty unreal experience. I still clearly don't even have the words.
Arguably, this was your biggest win of your career, you would say?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean,
what takes second place now? What was your biggest win, and now you're like, I'll see you later, buddy. I got the Vegas.
Yeah, I think second would be, I won an A tier last year. It was my first A tier, the Seth Burton Memorial, and it was also a pretty good field there too, but nothing like Vegas.
Yeah, let's start there. We need to get into a little bit of your history and your story, but let's start with a few of the people that you catapulted past, including getting Gannon Buhr by 5 strokes just on the final round. But coming in second, Gannon Buhr, then Kelvin Heimberg, Isaac Robinson, Bradley Williams, Casey White, Gavin Babcock, Nick Newton, Emerson Keith. There was a 5-way tie for fifth there. Ricky Wysocki, Austin Hannum, Kevin Kiefer, Clint Kelvin, and the list goes on and on. And Nate Sexton, I see Matt Bell, who I know shot great golf for the weekend, Alden Harris, so on and so forth. I'm just going to be blunt, they're all on your bitch list now. Was there any of those players that you feel especially proud of that you got past? Anyone in particular that maybe you haven't beaten before?
I mean, definitely Gannon Buhr, Calvin Heimberg, the way they're playing right now, arguably two of the best players on the planet. Ricky Wysocki. I mean, yeah, to come out on top and with those guys on the playing this event was huge.
All right, so let's start with some of the basics. I looked, and I was going to guess 10, and it turns out I think I've had you on 9 different videos within my channel. I don't know if you've been on my channel more than any other prior to this weekend, right?
Nope.
So it's been great seeing you, and people have talked about you, and I've recognized the skills for a long time, but you hadn't quite broken through to this degree, obviously. So give everyone just a quick backstory of your introduction to golf and what's led you to where you are right now.
Yeah. I first started playing disc golf 12 years ago. I randomly picked it up. I played a lot of sports as a kid, soccer, baseball. There happened to be like a whole complex really pretty close to my house in Arizona, and I just stumbled. I think a friend introduced it to me one time. I stumbled across it. I must have loved it because I think I went out again with my sister, and she dragged me along with a bunch of her friends who played, and I must have not stopped talking about it. um, and that's I've absolutely fell in love with the game. I didn't. I think it was more for fun growing up in high school. I played a couple tournaments. It took me a while to get my PDGA. It took me. I was just kind of mostly playing it for fun. I played. I think I played my first pro tournament in like 2017 or 16, and then it wasn't until I got to NAU, uh, and I went to college and I got on a team, um, and I met a good group of friends who also were professionals that like we started traveling to tournaments, and I started kind of playing a lot more and kind of taking the game a little bit more seriously. I got my first win shortly after in MPO, and then it wasn't until my last year of college that I decided that I kind of wanted to maybe take a shot at it. And so I traveled around after I graduated college, just the West Coast. I played a bunch of tournaments, tried to get what a feel of playing tournaments and traveling was like, and then that ended up being successful. So I took what I learned from that and tried my shot on the pro tour last year, as many events as I could play. I think I played 39 total events. I don't know how many pro tour events I played last year. And I ended up getting my tour card, and now I'm on my second full year of touring.
Incredible. So roughly 2012 is when you found the game. How old are you now? I mean, I guess if we do some math, you're probably about 24, 23, 24?
Yep, I'm 24.
Okay. So you find it when you're about 12, which everyone, as you get older and your story and your life grows, everyone's going to say, man, I wish I found it when I was that age. So very lucky and fortunate that you got hooked so early, and that's awesome. What was your college perspective, and what was your interest, your major, all of the things that you thought maybe if disc golf wasn't your career, isn't your career life, what did college set you on the path for?
Yeah, I ended up switching a lot in college. I couldn't really land on anything. Yep. Um, I ended up taking interest in geography, um, which is a pretty kind of interesting major. It's not that popular, but I find it pretty fascinating. I like working with maps and working on mapping technology, and also uh, I'm kind of blanking on the name at the moment. But I fell in love with that, um, and so that's kind of like that's a major and a career path that if it wasn't for disc golf, I think that's what I'd be doing right now.
Well, and truth be told, there's obviously a lot of people could make those draws and similarities. Clearly, loving the outdoors and being part of nature, seeing what disc golf has to offer, whether it's on a casual basis or a recreational basis. So there's not a real far stretch that's being made in order for you to land somewhere in that realm, so to speak. So that's really interesting. You're right too. There's not a lot of people, especially as technology has improved so much. There's not a lot of people that are still like, yeah, let's go
The GIS software really gets me going.
Gets me fired up. And I mean, then, dare I say, that almost segues right into your unique last name. Well, I guess maybe I don't know if it's that every last name is.
It's kind of some degree by default unique.
Yeah, is unique. I get that, but just rocks, geography, and I know it's not geology. I understand there's a difference and all that stuff. Just I don't know. What is some of your background or your family's background or heritage? Have you guys always been in the Arizona area? Is that where you guys grew up?
So I grew up in Arizona. My parents. My mom grew up in Arizona as well, but my dad grew up in Colorado.
Okay.
And I actually spend I spend a lot of time in Colorado. Or growing up, I spent a lot of time in Colorado during the summers. It's funny that you mentioned rock. My great grandpa was a geologist.
Okay.
And I always, growing up as a kid, I always thought it would have been so cool. I never got into geology as much as I never really got into it too much, but I always thought it was really cool if I got a doctorate in geology and Dr. Rock.
Yeah. I like that.
I mean, some people would almost think it was you changed your name, or somehow set that up when really it would have been all natural. Well, awesome. Now, I guess if we're talking family trees and such, you're a tall fella, and I know I'm already short. I'm on the short end. You're on the tall end, but I've stood next to you, and I'm like, damn, clearly a physique that's made for disc golf and for potentially then throwing far. So A, how tall are you? Tell the world. And then B, do you feel like, driving is a specialty of yours, and how good is your drive?
Yeah, I am 6'5".
Okay.
Definitely a build that really helps in disc golf, and I do feel like driving is a huge part of my game. I feel like, in terms of tour standards, I'm right there with some of the best. Definitely not on the upper echelon, but I can move a disc pretty well.
Yeah. I've noticed that. What if you were, fast forward to the world's distance competition, or you have a pretty legitimate, distance field to be working with at, normal elevation and all those things, what are some typical pumps that we could see you put a driver out to? How far can you?
I feel like I definitely get over 6 if I'm like definitely connecting well. I have in some Vegas last year I hit 700, just a little over 700. And one of the farthest throws I've ever done is like 720. I think that's my recorded farthest, but I think 650 on like a pretty good day, maybe a little past that is right where I think I'm maxing out.
Yeah, not
that's
too
not
shabby.
That's not too shabby. I think that keeps you in the hunt.
Yeah. All right, so let's dive into this weekend a little bit, because there's even coming into it, there's a conversation about the players being in the Midwest largely, of course, Champions Cup, Emporia, Music City, all of that. Obviously, everyone's starting to head west and go get themselves ready for OTB and the rest of the West Coast swing. Vegas, after moving, positioned themselves right in this, so to speak, off week, this travel week. And clearly it was their best case scenario, I feel like, to take advantage of a situation that they were kind of put into late in the scheduling game, so to speak. And it worked out for them. But when it comes to you playing events, are you just all gas right now? Like it doesn't matter. You want in on every event, every weekend you can play. What led you to playing this one specifically?
To answer your first question, I am pretty all in. I I haven't played every pro tour event this year, but I've played every weekend since the Memorial.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't plan on stopping. I just, for one, I really just want to keep playing disc golf tournaments as much as I can. I'm like just trying to get as much experience. I'm really loving just traveling and playing disc golf and getting as much of this as I can. And Vegas was always kind of, I think, kind of in the perfect spot now that I had to change from DDO to OTB. So, and Vegas is also one of the first pro tour events I've ever played. One of my favorites. I think they do a fantastic job out at Wild Horse. And I wasn't gonna be an event that I was gonna miss.
Okay. Yeah, I think some of that is all steeped in the idea of you're 24 and fresh on the tour, that you have been playing every weekend since Memorial,
yeah, since early March.
Yeah, which is incredible. So maybe break it down for everyone before we get more into the event. What is your touring look like? Is that in terms of vans, travel, lodging, types of ways you like to stay, like those types of things, Airbnbs, hotels, whatever? What's that look like for you right now?
Yeah, so I am currently in a Mercedes Sprinter.
Okay.
I upgraded from a Honda Element last year, which was a pretty sweet upgrade. I have a tour partner with me this year. He's taking his crack at the tour. He's trying to play as many events as he can. We it has two beds in it, so we just try to stay at the course, stay at anywhere we can. I haven't stayed in too many hotels. We really like to try to stay at the course. If the course doesn't work, a go-to favorite of mine is Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Others, Walmart has worked, Planet Fitness, some other options like that. But that's kind of what my tour arrangements are looking for the 2024 season.
Okay.
Keeping it nice and cheap.
Yeah,
I like it.
And to be fair, like I give you both. I don't know if I know your tour partner or not, but I give you both a ton of credit, because usually touring is tight, congested, and you guys are probably vying for room within there. And if there is more than one person usually touring, we often find it as a couple. And with you guys not presumably doing that, like that's a lot of very tight space together for a long time. Has any fights broke out that you can share? Any fists have been flying?
No fights. We've gotten along, thankfully, pretty well so far.
But when you
despite the
don't,
small
what's going to
space.
cause it? When you don't, what's going to trip your trigger, or
What's gonna
his?
cause it? I don't know. I like to run a tight ship, clean ship.
Uh-huh.
I like to keep it super clean. If it gets super messy, and if he's the one who's causing it, that might flip my switch.
I was just going to say, like, I envision, I'm just making this up because I was camping myself this weekend. I just think like bringing sand into the van or something like that. We're like, damn it, don't you see? Like, it's just sand, but stop doing that, or dirt or something like. All right. You guys have a mini dustbuster? Is that maybe on the registry that of gifts people could get you as a dustbuster or something like that?
Absolutely. There's so much. I've been struggling because we have a pretty high a high ceiling on this van. So like I've been struggling to find places to like vacuum it, and there's just constantly so much dirt, and that would be something on my like wish list to get for this van.
I like it. I like it. What do you guys also find that will you seek out certain places because one might want to stay in the van to do something, to play games or I was going to say do homework, to play game. We're not talking to Gannon anymore. To play games or to catch up on the internet while the other one really likes to go into Starbucks or something. Like, do you guys have any, kind of like norms in that sense or ways you play, favorite to somewhere you're seeking out?
Not really. Luckily,
Okay.
we've kind of just like if someone throws a suggestion of what to do or where to go, usually the other person's been pretty like, yeah, let's do it.
What's
Let's.
I always have so many questions, especially for newer van lifers that are on tour. But what's like a pet peeve / frustration of your van life in terms of just things that you're like, man, people just have no idea that it's actually a huge pain in the ass for blank. Like, what comes to mind when you're thinking along those lines? That things that the rest of us just don't think about or we take for granted.
I think the biggest one that comes directly to mind is just like the amount of little things you have to do every day, like doing the like I know this sounds like, I mean, people like do the dishes and like obviously like do laundry or like do, but like the little things for some reason while in a van and doing van life, stuff like that just like kind of like adds up during the day, and it just kind of gets like, and like adds up during the whole year, and it just kind of gets exhausting having to like, you kind of like don't have a routine
Mm.
almost out on the road. Like it's like, I don't know. I think that's the best way I can explain it.
It sounds like you have to be adjustable and
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
pliable.
I can imagine how, like, laundry to me wouldn't be an issue on the road because I mean there's laundromats and things like that. Like, I understand it's a pain, you have to take time out of your day, but dishes I think would be a pain just because of the running water constantly and cleaning everything. You either have to hook up your van to something, or I know you've got your gray water usually in the water thing, but just yeah, like the dishes are the thing to me that would just probably break me.
Yeah, and then if you have to, if you're sharing them or not, or someone else is relying on needing some clean dishes and you've just dirtied them, and I guess I liken it, especially with two of you, I liken it to like being in a spaceship. Like you only have so much, or space shuttle. You only have so much room, and you have to be cognizant of your roommate, and every little bit can matter. So you just leaving the littlest amount of stuff out could quickly probably disrupt somebody else as well. So again,
Yep.
bless the both of you, and I hope you're still alive at both at the end of the year, because
Thank
that's
Well, but one last question about touring. Any issues with you guys split driving? Is that
We do.
Okay.
And what's-
Definitely the long drives.
yeah, what's the rule for the radio?
Mm.
Who gets to pick radio, driver or
Ooh.
passenger?
We actually have been mostly doing driver
Okay.
takes the radio.
Which makes the
Yeah,
most
we
sense.
have-
Yeah.
Which is funny because, like, in our family car, I usually will, and I know it's illegal. I wear headphones a lot because my family wants to listen to something else, and I'm interested. So it's just always an interesting dichotomy as to what everybody wants to choose. And you guys are good with each other's musical tastes.
Yep.
All
I'm
right.
I like just about anything, so I've had no problems.
All right, so let's talk about this weekend. Let's talk about the Las Vegas Challenge presented by Innova. 4 rounds, first of all, which not common for an A tier, although this weekend it seemed a little more common. You started out in 13th place. You were, what, it looks like 6 strokes back from the lead after the first round. Did you feel like you, with knowing the players who are above you, Did you feel like you had a chance after the first round that you could just keep pushing away like that, or was your goal just, hey, I'm going to try to make top 5 or something like that?
I think, to be honest, after the first round didn't go the way I wanted. I definitely was throwing the disc well, but I was having some putting woes. And after that round, I just kind of I knew what I needed to adjust, and I spent some extra time on the putting green after and during my warm up to make sure I get what was dialed for round two. And at that moment, I honestly didn't think I didn't think too much of winning the tournament or making a push for anything. Lately, I've kind of like set as far as like expectations of winning or doing any of that kind of to the side, and I've kind of just like been like more focused on like how I'm doing during the round, how I'm feeling, trying to stick to a routine, and if things are going well, things are going well. If they're not, I'll trying to just mitigate it and try to refocus. I don't think after round one I was like I'm gonna come back and win this tournament or any placing.
Well, whatever you did Thursday night or Friday morning, it certainly worked because you came out in the second round and you shot the second hottest score behind Gannon Buhr. You shot an 11 down. He shot a 12. That jumped you right up into second place, tied for second place with a few other guys. Third round, you came out with an 8 under, which looks like it was a decent round compared to a lot of other people. I know Calvin came out with a 12 and smoked everybody and jumped up in front of you. So now you're going into the final round basically down by, 4 strokes to Gannon, down by only 1 stroke to Calvin, and you come out with a 14 under par with an eagle. Just, first of all, an amazing round. Congratulations. Were you keeping track of scores, or did you know where everybody stood? What type of player are you on the course when it comes to that stuff? Did you know that you were, going into the final hole, you were up by 2? Like, where are you checking scores?
Yeah, going into the round, I kind of like I'm the type of player that at least kind of knows where my card mates are, like in my head. Not having to check scores. During the first 8 holes, I kind of just went a little unconscious and didn't even kind of think about it. I was just trying to play, like I said, as good as golf as I could, and just stuck to my routine. And then after hole 8, I kind of Gannon went out of bounds on his approach shot, got an unfortunate roll, and missed his putt for par. And I birdied, and at that point, I was like, okay, I'm playing really good, and he's not. He just made a big mistake. Like, let me double check, and that's when I realized we were tied for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it kind of like I was like, okay, like this is okay. This is getting serious.
Things just got real. You have 9 holes to go, and suddenly you're tied with arguably maybe the best player in the sport right now, for sure, top 3, and you got 9 holes to beat him.
Yep. And then coming down into 16, I knew I had a stroke on Gannon. We're kind of playing back and forth with strokes. We were tied, and then I took a stroke on him, and then I took another one, and then he gained one back. And then on 16, there was a big putt on 16. I had a putt for birdie. Gannon missed his putt, and I got my two strokes back. And I think at that point I kind of knew that I had a really good chance. I had a really good chance to win the tournament.
Uh, I'll have to look it up, but somewhere I saw Gannon make a post just in the last day or two.
It was on Instagram, maybe.
It might have been Instagram, might have been Facebook. He said second. It was yesterday. He said second place LVC. Don't have much to say about the tournament. I started off hot, playing well, fell back. Some unfortunate spit outs that happen more often than usual, and just over a meh play over the last 2 days. And he said, "Congrats to you on the sick win, incredible final round." I will both admit we didn't see the footage. There's a lot going on this
It's
weekend.
just getting.
all over.
It's just starting to get released.
Yeah.
Practically.
But it's. How do you assess that? And I'm not trying to start any drama or anything silly, but how do you assess his assessment? Does that check out with what you thought, and specifically, do you feel like spits were any more of a problem than any other time we've seen from him?
I believe what Gannon said was pretty accurate. Those last 2 rounds, when I played with him, definitely were far from his best. I've played with him a couple times, and each time he's played good, so I know. And he's obviously the best player in the world. I've watched his coverage, so I know what he's capable of. And he definitely was letting some shots go here and there. And then as far as his putt goes, he did get some unfortunate spit outs. There was one in particular that I gained a stroke on him. It was hole 12 or hole 13. It was a beautiful putt, and it just splashed out the back end. And I think I can remember. I thought that was I thought it was a dirty spit out.
Sure.
Yeah.
At that time. So I think Gannon's assessment of his tournament is pretty correct.
Yeah, and just wild, because you think of what Gannon's done there in the last few years, and we've seen him with the playoffs and be right there in contention. Calvin, who's won multiple times on that track, knowing that not only are they, of course, two of the most elite players in our game, they've also found, these successes and know this track better than most, or have,
the courses,
mitigated it.
Yeah, the courses seem to
Absolutely.
suit them pretty well for their game.
Absolutely.
Now, one thing that I want to follow up on is just now clarifying that you only played 2 courses. You guys didn't play what I believe would be typically the Infinite track. I saw Millennium and I saw the Innova. Again, just under pure naivete, Johnny and I think we're under the assumption that the pros were going to play 3 different courses. So I guess the question buried here is, do you like just those 2 courses? Would you have cared if it was a third one in the mix? What are your thoughts on that?
Innova and Millennium are definitely, in my opinion, the 2 best courses out there, and should be played by the MPO division every single time. Infinite is a good track, and I think there's been considerable changes to Infinite. I didn't get a chance to play it this year, and I haven't played it in a while, so I wouldn't know. But I think we deserve to be on those 2 courses, or need to be on those 2 courses, and I think especially because of the short turnaround time for a lot of players coming from DDO and it being a 4-day event, I think using all 3 would be a little bit too much. Too not enough time because getting from DDO from Kansas to Vegas that's a really far drive, and I don't think that takes up at least a day if you're leaving Monday, and I just don't think there's enough time, especially with it being a 4-day event, to get all 3 of those courses in.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, and I think the people that run Vegas understand that at this point. I think that they understand that most of the MPO and FPO players don't want to play 3 courses anymore, and that 2 courses is going to be probably the standard.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot, because there's a lot of questions this weekend of, hey, where's the live coverage, and hey, why isn't this on Disc Golf Network, and who's covering it, and like a lot of the questions of some people that just aren't in the day to day and missed all the memos for the last 6 months. Were wondering what was going on, and then the follow up to all of those is always, well, is it going to kick off the tour next year? Is it going to be back on the tour? Is it going to be at this time every year? I think a lot of those questions are truly unanswered at this moment and may not get answered for a few more months. My inclination would be that if it's found on the tour in any capacity, it feels like it would have to be part of a swing, and it won't be the thing that kicks off the year like it did for so many years. That's just nothing more than my inclination on my end. So, but like you said, just the timing of it, and they did everything they could to fit onto and into the schedule in the only way possible, really, and so that created an extra, a really short turnaround. But still sounds so impressive. Their 25th year of the event, and from all social media accounts, it looked as big and as grand as it ever has any other year. No corners were cut, and it feels like it was just like every other year in a sense. Is that how you would assess it, or do you have any other input to that?
Absolutely. They did another magnificent job out at Wild Horse. It was just as professional, just as awesomely, like greatly ran as it usually is. They really do. The staff, the volunteer, they work tirelessly to make this like event as good as it is or was being off the tour. Just like a lot of the same things you would expect Vegas to have. Like they continued the Firebird sales. They did I just think it was just as professionally ran as it has been, and they really deserve a lot of flowers for their work.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And quite honestly, as someone who's been out there for a number of years and then knows a lot of the staff and crew, none of that surprises me. I'm just only kind of honestly pissed off that I wasn't there myself in any capacity. So I take the blame for that.
I'm more mad I wasn't in Copenhagen.
Either or, yeah.
Vegas is great, but Copenhagen, come on.
Yeah, it does sound like
either
like
one
you said,
sounds
they did
a lot of fun.
Everything right. What happens from here for you in terms of how you look forward about your career, about any kind of validation or anything of that nature? What does this mean? What does this win mean and signify for you and your journey that you're relatively still fresh at?
Yeah, I think that this win definitely kind of helps validate some of the reasons that I got on tour. Kind of helps boost my confidence, knowing that I can put myself in these situations, that I can shoot well enough and hang with some of the best players in the world. And so this win really is one of the biggest moments in my disc golf career, and I think, and I'm really hoping that it's a huge kickstart, a huge boost leading forward. I'm really looking forward to seeing what I can do at a lot of the upcoming events, especially this West Coast swing. A lot of these tournaments are similar to Vegas, being more open, being more kind of golf course style courses. So this is just a huge boost of confidence moving forward.
As it should be.
Yeah, and when you think about that validation and you think about this journey, what were some of the conversations? I don't know what your relationship is like with your parents, but what are some of the conversations as you shoot this final round on Mother's Day? What did you talk to your parents or anything that night, or family or other support network and people? What were some of those moments like?
Yeah, my parents are two of my best supporters. They love that I'm doing this. After I won and everything kind of settled down, I gave them a call right away, and it was a very emotional phone call, on both sides. I remember I was like, I called and I said, it was that a good enough Mother's Day present for you, uh, and it was just a really heartfelt moment.
And she was like, "Spoilers, bro!
Yeah,
I haven't got to watch the coverage yet."
She's like, yeah, if you're sharing some of that $4,000 first place check, then certainly.
Very happy Mother's Day.
I'll take that gift all day. That is so awesome to hear. Are your parents the type that are like incessantly just watching the live scoring, especially on a day like that? They're glued to their tablets and their phones, and are they trying to message you at all during rounds, or where does that line get drawn of their support?
Yeah, I don't get messages during the round, but they do watch scores. My dad's a my dad growing up, my dad was a golf coach, and so
Mm.
he is like a very, yeah, I mean, he's a big fan of golf, and obviously a big fan of disc golf, and big fan that I'm doing and chasing a path like this. And so he's an incessant. He watches very
Mm.
closely. My mom does. A lot of my family do. Especially on a day like that, on a day like Sunday, where I was kind of in the hunt, and had a chance to win.
Yeah, and I'll go as far as saying, like, hearing that your dad's a golf coach and then knowing how competitive that space is, and the money and the effort and the years and the decades that get put into it, and to sometimes golf, your career only gets you so far, and then you maybe don't even make any money playing golf, and it's so competitive, and getting onto tours and things, and then here you are finding your success in, our sister sport, whatever you want to call it, a cousin sport to what your dad's teaching. Like, I think that has to feel like a certain form of validation and excitement as well, which is awesome. And speaking to that, as I'm just noticing, as of right now, you've won $8,730 in 14 events this year, some of which you cashed, some of which you didn't, but $8,730, almost exactly 50% of that coming from this weekend.
Yeah.
What is it like, even in the danger city of Vegas? What is that like, knowing you've got $4,000, so to speak, in your pocket, or in your PayPal or wherever now? What is that like, getting such a substantial check for one weekend?
Yeah, that's it's pretty huge for me. Uh like I said, there's also a second reason to why I'm playing every weekend, is because, like, I'm a grinder. I kind of need to be playing tournaments, even off weekends of the
Mm-hmm.
disc golf pro tour, in order to kind of stay out here. So getting that $4,000 is a really a huge relief. Um, and definitely also a huge boost of confidence too.
I think a pretty fair question is, where is your sponsorship network, and coming along with getting sponsors? I feel like I've seen a couple different strategies from you over the last few years. Who sponsors you? Who supports you? Let's shout them out. We can do more of that later too. But who sponsors and supports you right now?
Yeah. So, yeah, I just have one sponsor. I was sponsored by Infinite Disc last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went separate ways at the start of this year, and but I and so a local disc golf shop in my hometown of Pine Top Lakeside, Parked at Disc Golf, um, is picked me up, is helping me out on tour this year, has helped out so much, and so yeah, shout out to Parked at Disc Golf. Chris, the owner, has helped me out a lot this year.
And that begs the question: what are you throwing now? And if your phone's buzzing in the morning tomorrow morning because somebody's trying to get you onto a team, do you have a preference? Is there someone that you're hoping calls you up?
Yeah. So my bag is pretty mixed. I throw a lot of different companies. I throw a lot of. I'm pretty Innova and Infinite heavy on the drivers. I throw a lot of
Mm-hmm.
destroyers and emperors. Um, Pretty disc mania heavy on the fairways and mid range side of my bag, and then my putters and approach discs are kind of on the discraft side of the bag.
Mm,
So I'm kind of all over. Um, and so really, I mean, if a preference would be, uh, definitely one of those three manufacturers.
okay.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. Have you had talks prior to this weekend? Have you had talks with any of them? And or did anyone say, hey, let's see how things are going, or are you just kind of taking it as you go?
um, I'm just kind of I'm taking it as I go. I've made efforts in the past, but uh, I guess none of them. I don't know. I guess none of them have worked out. So I'm just kind of taking it as I go.
Well, I'm just going to say this bluntly because I know you maybe you'll be too gentlemanly to say it. I mean, you just beat a very legitimate, healthy, stacked field that had a ton of our sport's best players and arguably two or three of the very best in our sport. And you did it in in an amazing fashion with an incredible final round to close it out at a well-known tracks and just coverage, all of that stuff. Like, you checked all of the boxes for this weekend. So somebody at some or all of those companies has to at least be thinking, hey, let's think about how we need to reach out to this guy, or let's for sure keep him on our very short list to watch him over the next few weeks or few months. I don't know if they would, who it will or won't admit that, but they're all idiots if they're not. I mean, you don't accidentally just beat Kelvin and Gannon and
Isaac.
like that. That's not just a fluke. And so that's pretty damn incredible to have on your list. So I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. This may or may not, you even said after round one, thoughts of winning or whatever weren't necessarily your concern. But now that this box has been checked of winning, this is so far your largest win in your life. Do you have an aspiration or a goal for something else that by it's practical, I can also, check this off my list this year? Is there a win, a rating? Is there anything else that's on your goal list that you could share?
Yeah, I think goals for the rest of the year that I have, definitely try to get my rating up as high as I can. I really want to try to continue playing with the feeling that and the confidence and the focus that I had at Vegas. Something that I haven't, something that I've been really trying to work on and mentally over the past couple weeks that has had just has just been clicking lately, and so I want to just keep riding that feeling out. And so uh, I think some goals that I want to try to set is ride that feeling out and try to see if I can crack some top 20s, some top 10s, maybe even some top 5s at some pro tour events, and and try to and try to prove to myself that I can maybe more consistently try to play at a higher level.
With that being said, is there any one component or piece of your game where you're like, yeah, this is what I feel like I can pinpoint that is the obstacle or the hurdle that I have to overcome, and when I do that, I have a success like this last weekend? Is there any one facet of your game that you're kind of consciously aware of, like, yep, let's just get that squashed or fixed or addressed?
I think one, like I said earlier, was my mental game. I think my mental game over a long stretch of period of time playing this game, playing this sport, has gone up and down, and that's started to I'm starting to really kind of be more aware of that and work towards having a better mental clarity, really good mental game. And then I feel like in terms of physical part of the game, I think I think I have a serviceable forehand, but I don't have anything special. And I'm noticing, like, this practice round at Stockton at OTB, I played one this morning, and they're on the backstretch. Because this is my first time here, I haven't played these holes before. In the backstretch, there are some holes that really could use a good power forehand, and I think that's something that I need to kind of work on a little bit.
Yeah, you got past Sexton this weekend with his little forehand things. No, that is incredible. Yeah, someone reminded us of kind of the question that we were bringing you onto the show is, what did the post-event or round celebration look like, and did it involve any gambling of any kind? I mean, you're in Vegas and winning the largest event of your life. You don't have to be shy here. What happened?
I wish I had a good story for you. Nothing happened. A lot of my buddies from Arizona who were there at the tournament had to go home. Had to drive home, and I just kind of had a quiet night. I got a hotel. I had dinner, and I called it a night. I didn't do anything crazy. I gambled the week before, and did not go well. So I did not take my chances with the money that I earned. So
okay, yeah, you worked too hard for that to let it go. I can understand that. Will there be, a favorite question of ours always is there anything with that windfall of money? Is there anything that you'll splurge slightly on? Maybe this week. I know you just said a hotel and a nice dinner. I think those are just a given, or should be at least, especially for a van lifer. But is there anything you might go out and splurge on in the next couple of weeks now that you got a little larger check in your pocket?
I already bought a new pair of shoes.
Okay.
I needed a new pair of shoes for disc golf, so there's one. And then I'm not like I like to be kind of conscious with my money, not try to spend it where I don't spend it where I don't need to. So I'm just trying to save as much of as I can, and I'm buying, I guess, better groceries and better food, I guess.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Flavored ramen instead of just the right. Yeah. Instead of like, I'm getting chicken or beef this week ramen. Connor, I mean, I don't know. Again, we've had some limited interaction, and it's always been great. But I don't know how anyone could not be in your corner, especially after hearing more from you tonight. It's such a good head on your shoulders, and so excited and excitable about the game, and just again that validation and proving all these years in, a dozen years into playing, and then to show up in on a couple of different tracks to take down some of the world's best players. It's just a beautiful story, and clearly it could be a little bit of a catalyst to take your career to that next level. And honestly, I hope one of those things, when you're comfortable with it, is that a major manufacturer or sponsor, that wants to really help you significantly on the road, comes along. And I think this also is a good reason for them to take another look at you. So before we let you go, is there anything you want to share with the world? How can we support you and follow you on tour and do anything to be in your corner? Share with the world how we can all do that.
Yeah, I think you guys can do that by following me on social media at Rock Disc Golf. And Facebook, just Connor Rock. And then follow me on Disc Golf Pro Tour events. I'm thinking of doing potentially like another. I had a release. Me and my sponsor did a release, limited release of some discs that have already sold out, but I'm thinking about doing another stamp and release of some discs. So if that does happen, I definitely will make a post about it on my social media accounts.
Well, give the people what they want. They want to support you and recognize it. I posted, even as we started the show, I posted in one of the Arizona disc golf Facebook groups, and one of the first people, Stephen Miller, who we know, said, "Oh, we're just so proud of him." And I know there's just a huge family of golfers in Arizona that certainly are very excited and proud of what you accomplished. And I know some of them were with you this weekend, but it's just it's incredible to see, and quite a story for the weekend that had so many different so many golf tournaments going on, and probably fair to say that this is one of the most uplifting and biggest surprises, all in a good way. So very awesome to see, man.
Thank you so much.
All right, well, we're gonna cut you loose. Stay safe out there. Enjoy. Hopefully you can, channel everything that you had this last weekend. You can bring it over there to the OTB course. I know you said you're out there practicing it and getting your look for the first time. Obviously the Sean Mercy, Sean Jack put on an incredible event, and we've seen, Emerson Keith and others, sometimes unlikely people take it down. And, while you're at it, just go back to back. I mean,
why not?
Just quit effing around and be like, "Hey guys, this is my tour now." I'm just saying.
Whatever you did Thursday night, keep it up.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
Yeah, I'll definitely give it my best effort.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I put your Instagram out there in the chat. People should hopefully go out there and follow you or find you on Facebook. And I'm sure I'm going to be seeing you on more of my coverage for sure whenever I come out and visit Arizona or the area. And I think there's some new news. We might see you on the Q Series, and I know my channel is talking about both the Beehive Classic in Utah and the Cascade Challenge. So a few more times to get you on the channel, and let's get it out there. All right, Connor. Appreciate it. One final sentence? Anything else?
Thank you guys for having me on the show, and also thank you to everyone who showed me such amazing support over the past couple days. For everybody sending wonderful messages and all the amazing support, I couldn't be more grateful and blessed to have such amazing backing. So yeah.
100% deserved, and one final time from Johnny and I, we say congrats. Good luck this weekend at OTB. We'll continue to watch your story, and hopefully I'll run into you sometime soon over there on the West Coast. But be safe and shoot good golf. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
You're
Connor.
welcome. See ya. How can you not love it? I've just got chills a second ago. How can you not love the story of this guy who goes out and Rewind, right? A few weeks ago, we talked about who do you have picked to win an event, and when you line up that cast, and those sharks, so to speak, at the Las Vegas Challenge,
He wouldn't have been on my list.
he there's no insult there in saying,
No.
yeah, he wouldn't have been on your list. His parents, probably had him on the podium.
There's
But,
a good chance
and
of
maybe
that.
a sponsor, but so an unlikely champion, but that makes it that much cooler and that
makes
much
it
more special.
Yeah, those are the
All right.
those are the Disney stories.
So with
right
that,
there.
we're going to rattle off a few more people, and then as Johnny continues to do that, I think I'm going to get close to lining up yet our next guest. So hit him, Johnny.
I like it. Hit it better. Hit it, Johnny.
Hit it.
Like we're in a band. All right. As we said, Connor Rock, Gannon Burr, Calvin Heinberg, Isaac Robinson, Bradley Williams, Casey White, Gavin Babcock, Nick Newton, Emerson Keith, and Ricky Wysocki are your top 10 for MPO. Moving over to the FPO division, gotta say it, Luque, she wins first place by 2 strokes, shooting a 7 under par final round. So she bested Sophia by 6 strokes. And then Katrina Allen shoots an 8 under par final round. Yeah, Katrina Allen, how many of your months pregnant she is, coming out with an 8 under, the hot round to get into third place. But Luque, congratulations on your win. She feels like one of those players that you could really see her doing well at like the Portland events, Beaver State or Portland Open. I mean, not that she couldn't do well at OTB as well, but it's just that kind of momentum she has right now. So she shoots a 27 under par total. Like I said, Sophia Donachie, 25 under par for second place. Third place, Katrina Allen. Fourth place, Lisa Fakis. Fifth place, Maria Oliva. Sixth place, Katarina Bjorkas. Seventh place, Chelsea Howells. And eighth place, Emily Yale. So congratulations to you. Those are all the women that made the cut on the final round. So congratulations. That is your Las Vegas Challenge. If you want to quickly just mention MP40 winner Pete Ulibarri, FP40 winner Jen Allen.
Yeah, Pete, I know, hit a putt of legitimate substance. It might have been just inside the circle or just outside of the circle, but I know it wasn't a 9-footer. It was closer to a 29-footer to ultimately take it down on the final hole. There was a post out there on Facebook. So congratulations to him. Congrats to everyone that participated. They, of course, had the AMP side. They had pro side. They had a ton of people out there in Vegas. I feel like that event we could probably have on the staff and crew, and they could give us an entire night of interesting podcast story, which maybe we'll do sometime. But congratulations to all of them, because I know it's been an additional challenge and then some this year. And I know there's a ton of people that work so hard and an insane amount of expense to put that event on. So, as my understanding is, Gatekeeper had done both MPO and FPO. I don't know how many people they had out there, but it must have been a bunch. And from what it looked like, all the coverage has released for that event. So nice work. I can only imagine when you're staying up all night in Vegas.
That's not what you're thinking about doing.
You're not thinking, yeah, man, I'm sitting here rendering and exporting and updating files at 4 a.m.
Nope.
That's probably exactly what they were doing. So big shout out to them.
Let's move across the seas to the Copenhagen Open. It's not often that you say that the Las Vegas Challenge isn't the biggest event of the weekend, but it wasn't, to be honest. So there was a DGBT event over in Copenhagen, Denmark. So technically, it's called the Copenhagen Open. It's in a city that's not Copenhagen. It's in Copenhagen. So sorry, I just demolished that for all of our overseas friends. Let's talk about the MPO real quick. Jesse Niemanen takes this one down by 2 strokes, winning $8,181. In second, tied for second place, Eetu Tumanen, tied with Nicholas Antala. In fourth place, you've got Samuel Heinonen, tied with Roland Kaur and Paul Ulibarri. Is that how it's pronounced?
Yuli
Babari.
Something like that.
That is kind of your top 5 for the Copenhagen Open. I will quickly. I know we've got a guest right now in our green room, but I let's talk to our guest first, then we'll come back to
we can
FPO
come back
because
to
the
that.
FPO story at Copenhagen is the story.
Yeah,
It
yet another
is
one.
a phenomenal story. There's so much going on this weekend, but
Madness everywhere, people. All right, with that, shows up in California to play in his first ever tournament in California, and he'll remain there, but in California, but he's going to leave Santa Cruz a champion, and we're talking about Ezra Robinson. What's up, buddy?
How's it going?
Not as good as you, and that's often what we can say to our guests, and that's good news. That wow, congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, it meant a lot. I've dreamed about that event for a while, and this is the first time being able to go over, so I was excited about that for sure.
Let's start there with the idea of traveling and who goes where, kind of under what pretenses, and why. I guess I'll just say, why was this the first year, with as much as you play, why was this the first year that you're getting to California and getting to the Masters Cup?
Yeah, this is actually, I skipped the whole West Coast swing last year. Last year was my full year on tour. I had a brother graduating, and then a brother-in-law graduating as well. So we kind of went home for May, and then flew back out to Portland. So it was able to work out this year, and a lot of people, everybody went over to Vegas. To be honest, I'm kind of sick of playing golf courses all the time. So this one looked way more inviting, and I grew up watching coverage out there. Grew up, seeing all the history out there, and so I knew that especially De La was a bucket list item for me. So I decided to make the trek down there.
so how did the course live up to your expectations? Everybody talks about De La. They look at the hill or the hills. They look at the cliffs and the rocks on the ground and the iconic holes. How do you feel like it? Did it live up to your expectations?
I think I once I played it the first practice round on Thursday, I was like, this is like in probably my top 3 to 5 favorite places to play. And some holes are a little, little janky, but like I enjoyed throwing every single hole, and that's very rare for me out on a course. So
I mean, there's 3 rounds. Did you get, as they say, De La at all? Any crazy rolls? Any bad, like any ones where you're just like, oh man?
I got 2 meter for the first time.
Nice.
So that was fun. That was an experience for sure. But I got 2 metered about 55 feet away from the bastion, able to make the par putt. So it didn't really affect me much.
Dang.
But I can walk away saying that I've been 2 metered. So it's kind of fun.
And just to put it out there, because we have seen some different formats and iterations throughout the years, this I feel like was a really unique year. You guys did ultimately have 3 rounds, but first round, as it's denoted on the website, it says you played De La long layout. Then in round 2, you guys actually went to Pinto Lake, totally different course and different property and very different style. And then you go back on Sunday to what they're calling the shorter layout. Kind of break down what those mean to someone that's going to watch the coverage as it continues to unfold right now. What do those layouts and mean?
Yeah, so the first round was longs to longs at De La. So I guess the pro layout, I don't know. I don't know too much. Again, this is the first time here. So, so that was just basically as hard as it could get, I think. So that was pretty straight up. And then Pinto, I think from what I was hearing about the locals, it hadn't really been used in a big tournament since 2011 Worlds. And it was very, that one wasn't my favorite.
Okay.
Compared to De La. If that
Sure.
wasn't compared to De La, fine course, But just when I was out there on Saturday, I was like, I can't wait to get back to De La. So
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at Pinto Lakes. Like I remember some of the holes, but it's a little vague because I was there in 2011 working doing media, and I remember thinking at the time like, oh, this is a decent course. But of course, there are so many awesome courses that we play.
Yeah, and maybe to your point, just such a vast difference, right? You have so much more open space. There's some hills, but they're longer grass. I know there was maybe even some warnings of poison oak or something that's out on the course, right? Did any of that factor in for you out there, or were you just always in the fairway? You didn't have to worry about it.
In practice, I ended up losing 2 discs because I threw it so far in the poison oak that it wasn't worth it.
Wow.
To get it back. Yeah. So I was definitely kind of extra cautious in the tournament day, but I was glad to be in the fairway most of the holes. Didn't have to scramble too much, but yeah, the poison oak is, and being from Georgia, like we have a little bit of it down there, but like I don't know if I'm allergic to it or not. So I was like, I'm not even playing with it. So
okay, so no, it sounds like at least as of now, knock on wood, no significant outbreaks or anything that seemingly affected you, which is definitely good. Yeah. When you see a place like De La and the camaraderie, the community, a lot of old school, kind of pioneers and legends of the game, does it remind you of anywhere else, or did you feel like that was kind of unique compared to other places you go?
I think the only place that I could kind of compare with it is probably Rochester, New York, with Jim Palmieri up there and all that history. It kind of I got to meet him and talk to him up there, and that was really cool to see that side of history because I think if I have the story right, him and Ed were kind of working on a basket at the same time, not really knowing that the other person was. I don't really know the full story, but got to hear a lot of history about the game coming from up there. And got to meet a lot of the older players and legends of the game. So, and then same thing in Santa Cruz. So those are the only 2 spots that I've really felt that. So
yeah, I could see that. And you have someone like Tom Schott, at the helm, who's just a legend in every sense. And Marty Hapner, the guy that owned discgolf.com. As a domain.
Had the foresight to register discgolf.com back in the day.
Yeah, and only maybe a little less than a decade ago or so, ultimately got that transferred over to DGA on some probably very friendly agreement. Those are secrets for another day. But yeah, just, of course, West Coast, so much other history and everything else. Did at any point, especially knowing what De La offered, was there any point where you felt comfortable with a lead or with a score or with the way things were going? Or were you kind of always like, oh, man, anything could still happen here?
Yeah, I'd say after the second day, I was pretty comfortable because, again, most of the big, like, outstanding names that would normally be there were in Vegas or elsewhere. Sure. So it was definitely a not as scary field.
Sure.
All due to respect to the players there because they played really well. But yeah, I mean, you have locals, and I think locals are very underrated when it comes to courses like that. Because they know all the local gaps, local lines. They know how it plays. So coming from the outside of that, it's kind of up in the air. But I mean, Josh Anton was there. He's a California. He plays there all the time, or lives at least close. So he was definitely one I was worried about. Andrew Miranda is up there. But yeah, I know I felt pretty comfortable going into the last round. Coming from Pinto, I think I had a 3-stroke lead, and I was putting well, playing well, playing solid enough to where nobody was really going to catch me if I just kept it going. So.
Yeah, and I guess to follow that up maybe is the fact that when you sort by rating, you came into the event with your 1040 rating. Chandler Kramer and Chandler Fry were the next 2 highest rated competitors, 1018, 1016. Josh Anthon at 1014. I mean, again, you go out and you got to play all the holes on a weekend. There's no doubt about that. But you're coming in on paper for sure as a favorite, even if you're new. you're definitely coming in as a favorite with a pretty sizable distinction between you and the next closest competitors. But sometimes I feel like that can be a reverse pressure almost, right? Where you're like kind of thinking, well, I should win this, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So the battle unfolds throughout the weekend. What does it mean to you to be part of that Masters Cup trophy and experience, and to know that you came your first time ever, you won, but friends like, Gannon won there a few years ago, Adam Hammes, who's newer on the tour. But what does it mean to you that your name's on that trophy and on that list?
Yeah, so when I got there, so I got there early Thursday morning, at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Drove in, had car issues on the way up there. So I went out to a practice round that morning, and I saw the list. They had all on a board the list of players that had won it, and I mean, everybody who I looked up to in the game growing up, everybody's on that list. I'm like, wow, that would be really sick if I could, add my name to that list, and ended up doing it. And so it means a lot to me, because who knows, there might be future me out there, little kid, growing up, watching coverage, and seeing my name up there and thinking the same thing about me one day, and it's just like kind of hit me where it's like I could be somebody's like inspiration when all those guys who'd won were mine. So it was just kind of stopped me in my tracks a little bit and to just think about that for a second. But I'm really honored to be a part of that list. Yeah.
Yeah, that list and people, and even the few years that I've been out there, and obviously known a lot of those people or all those people, but that list is like the who's who of disc golf, and to be associated with winning that event. Just you want to win any event you play, but when you're on a list of something of that magnitude, like that's something you can for sure can be proud of and cherish forever. You've talked about, and it just hit me, you've kind of talked about Nate Doss as a guy who you've looked up to or admired or appreciated his game. Knowing Nate, probably has hundreds, if not thousands, of rounds on that property. Is there any other inspiration that you drew at any point out there, and in terms of what the property had to offer and the people that were there?
I mean, I just I don't know how to explain it, and I don't know if this answers your question, but to me, it felt like walking on almost like an old battleground. There's like so many people have fought here and competed for the win and everything, and only a couple have risen victorious and all that. And so pretty much it made me respect everybody who's won it and all of that. And like I said, I don't know if this is answering your question, but just having that feeling and that sense of awe about the place, really was inspiring and everything like that. But yeah.
No, that very much so. And I guess the follow-up to that is, how would you describe the golf to people? Because we're not playing it. There's signal issues and there's been challenges throughout the years. We're not seeing it on the tour. It used to be a national tour forever. But how do you describe that track, we'll say at De La, that golf?
Yeah. So coming from Georgia, I never played anything like it. I mean, we have some hills, we have some woods, but you're throwing over little trees, and playing the 2 meter rule is. I mean, I threw some shots that I wouldn't more safely than I would in Georgia, because those trees are so thick. They're so thick, and they're everywhere. And so I was scared to go up over anything, and that's normally where the lines are out there, because so that was really cool, just to be able to play that kind of golf. So definitely try to keep it out of the air as much as you can. And all the greens are basically roll away potential. So you really have to be on or, lay up. But if you lay up too much, you're not going to win. So you have to think about every shot out there.
And then with all of that, and in regard to the course, there's nicknames. I don't know if it's for every hole, but seems like there's nicknames for holes out there, and then there's obviously hundreds, if not thousands, of stories for all the different holes out there. Is there any hole that jumped out at you or is especially memorable when you reflect on the course?
I mean, everybody knows the top of the world.
Yep.
That just walking up that hill. In my first practice round, walking up there and then seeing it for the first time myself, it was like getting dusk. So it was just, you could see the ocean back there, and the sun was setting, and it was just, took a couple pictures for sure. But that hole is just, I mean, you don't throw that anywhere. Like that's the one time that like I've seen that kind of hole. So that definitely stuck out to me. Probably the second favorite. I really liked hole 3 for some reason. I don't know.
Okay.
Just down the hill in the little tree grove. I liked it. Yeah, other than those two, I mean, every hole I just enjoyed throwing, but those two were probably my favorite.
Is there another course that has more named holes in our sport? I was trying to
like carry throughout
that everybody kind of like you tell of someone top of the world, they know exactly what you're talking about. For the most part, you talk about gravity hole. A lot of people know which that one is, a little dunker.
Yeah,
kitchen,
I-5,
the kitchen sink. They're like everybody. I'm trying to think of like USCGC would be one that you would think would have it, but that's people know more hole numbers on that one. Everyone knows hole 5, hole 17. They don't really have names though, so kind of interesting. Considering I was thinking you're from Georgia. We got the Masters. Every one of their holes is named. Like literally, like the commentators have to call them by their hole names, or they get in trouble by the Masters. So it's kind of an interesting change. You've had a pretty good season this year on the Pro Tour. We've seen you a lot on.
In case you didn't know, we've been watching.
Yeah, everybody's been seeing. Well, I mean, you've had your rough spots. It seems like you've had a couple bad final rounds. Is really what it comes down to. Like you seem like every week you're in the hunt. You're right there, and then we get to the end. Is that? Do you feel like that's bad timing for a bad round? Do you feel that's nerves right now? Like, does a win like this help? Will a win like this help you kind of move past those? I'm going to call them nerves, but I don't know if they really are. What do you think?
Well, I certainly hope so. That would be nice. But yeah, I mean, for the last half of the season last year, I think I was shooting like a bad first round, okay second round, really good third round. So that would jump me up into top 10, top 5, whatever. But now I'm shooting good first round, good second round, third round. So it's kind of disappointing because I know I can play well on the final day, but also being in contention for the win, that hasn't happened to me very often yet. And I think one of the main ones this year is being the major Champions Cup. I couldn't express how much I wanted to win that. Being back-to-back brother wins, that would be, I mean, probably the coolest thing that's ever happened for me in disc golf history. And so I've messed up out there. I had some horrible shots. I got in my head and all of that, and then kind of did the same thing at DDO. I was in a fine mental space at DDO. Like, I wasn't nervous or anything. I just was throwing like crap. So I don't know. So I got to find like a rhythm and just keep working on that and wanting a win so bad because I don't want to be known as like everybody knows this, and he's great now, but AB was kind of like the choker on tour. He'd be in the position and then he wouldn't win, but and he's already proven himself this year, obviously. But I don't want to do that. Like, if I'm in the position to win, I want to win so bad, and I know that disc golf is going up from here, and a lot more people are winning, and I want to be one of them because that really like separates you from the rest of the field. So it would mean a lot to me to get a win, and I guess I just want it too badly. I guess I don't know, and then just forget what I'm doing.
That's really funny. That's not where I thought you were going when you went with the AB. I thought you were going. Honestly, I thought you were going to say I didn't want to be known as the little like Isaac's brother. because Isaac has the 2 majors. And honestly, that's when you started saying that, I thought that's where you were going, because I personally, I don't yet consider you like a choker or anything like that. I knew you've had a couple bad, 2 or 3
maybe a non-closer.
Non-closer, yeah, he hasn't closed yet, but he's
more polite way.
That sounds better.
Yeah.
But that's honestly where I thought you were going to go, as far as being, in Isaac's shadow at this point.
Yeah,
so
great. Now you're giving him a new complex.
Well, that's okay.
Jerk.
Well, I'm sure he's thought of it.
No, absolutely. All last year, I mean, with him winning the 2 majors, like, I was the first one there to congratulate him. I couldn't be happier for him. But it really did, like, I would have fans come out after I shoot like a fantastic round. They'd be like, "Oh, you're Isaac's brother," and I'm like, "Yep, yes, I am." And kind of like, I didn't want that to be my identity in disc golf. Like, I didn't want people to know. I wanted people to know me for me. And that's something that I had to deal with quickly, because I mean, I would love to have a major win, and he's, my brother, and I beat him half the time anyways, so it's like, I had to stop the jealousy real quick and just continue to buckle down and work on my game. And now I am 4 points higher rated now.
Ding!
Shots fired.
I mean, you could just subtly work into the conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. As of today, here we are, May 14th. Okay. So did you go to you were both 1040, like, which that in itself, you talked about brothers, legacies, cool historic things. Just a pair of brothers at 1040 is truly insane in itself. So without us cheating and looking today, how did you 2 shift for you to get this 4-point advantage?
So I stayed the same.
Okay.
Because that's another thing I wanted to bring up, because Champions Cup, I got 3rd in a major and averaged 3 points below my rating, which is very rare for any tournament. Like, if you're in the top 3, you're like averaging 1050, something like that. So I stayed the same, thankfully. He dropped 4 points, so he's 1036 now. So, and I haven't been higher rated than him I would have to look, but I think probably close to 5 years, or longer. It might be a little shorter. I don't know, but like, it's been a hot minute. So, seeing that, it made me smile this morning. So.
What was there a text? Was there a phone call? Was there a DM? What transpired as soon as, and who noticed it and then reached out? It had to be you.
Well, it was definitely me. But I waited. We played a practice round at OTB today, and like on like the 10th hole, I was like, "See your rating update?" He's like, "Yeah, I suck now." I'm like, "Okay." So,
now that we got that cleared,
I will give you props for waiting until hole 10.
Yeah, how did you not just get out of the car and be like, "Hey, 1036ers are back there"?
It's a different parking zone.
Should have, yeah. That's the thing. Like, I will roast him all day, but I know it means a lot to him to be up there as well. And I guess I'd be the nice brother and give him a little break. But
wow, he's the better rated brother and the more humble one.
Wow,
you can't argue with that.
A couple of quick things. One, I pulled up your Statmando. I don't know how often you guys look at this, so I'll read that in a second. And 2, well, let me just start there before I get on my next point. I just happened to pull up Statmando. Big shout out to them. I've got another thing from them. When I put you 2 head to head, it shows that you against him, you are 39, 56, and 3.
Yeah, a little catching up to do.
So you're ultimately, and then when there's some other stats about where you finished, your 14 wins to his 18 wins. You have 11 seconds to his 18 seconds, and then 6 to 7 in terms of your thirds. Top 10 percentage. You're at 59.18%. He's at 67.35%. And then overall strokes, you're at 17,139 to his 16,847. So, yeah, I mean, you gotta be loving when you're out in front of him in any capacity.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll follow that up real quick with another thing I borrowed. I think this is Statmando, maybe out on their on their Threads feed or wherever. They post everywhere, thankfully, and they sometimes make us look a little bit smarter. Tell me if you realized or knew this, that the last 5 your last 5 A-tier events that you've played, you've gone first, second, first, and first.
Yeah, I did realize that. And the second place hurts a lot.
Which one was that?
That was City of Mobile. I went into a 5-hole playoff with Matty O.
Okay. Well tied.
But there's a little. The playoff was a little. I don't want to bash anybody, but the tournament director made him go first on every single hole instead of rotating. And we told him before the playoff started, and he didn't bother to change it. And then afterwards, he came up and apologized to me, and I was just like, kind of rubbed me wrong a little bit, but
sure,
always. I didn't even think I had a chance out there in Mobile with Matteo, so I was happy to get that far.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Mattio's got the crowd behind him there. He's got everything. I mean, you kind of have to let him go. I mean, that's just how it works.
Yeah, that's pretty much how the crowd was reacting.
You might not get out of Mobile if you beat Matteo there.
I was just going to say, if he could find it, he probably has a key to the city. If he could find it wherever he's misplaced it, but Matteo probably does have a key out there. So that in itself is also pretty incredible about you playing such good golf at these other events as well. What I was going to say earlier is I haven't spent a ton of time with you and your brother. Obviously, I really admire and enjoy talking to you guys, and I've seen your successes, and you guys play. I haven't spent a ton of time, but how different would you describe you and your brother in terms of your personality? Not necessarily your golf games, but your personality.
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, I think Isaac's more of an introvert. He likes his space. I like being around people. I'm very much of an extrovert. Isaac is great, but he is like his little group, Gannon, all them, and they kind of just keep to themselves, they always stay together. So he's very like just introverted with them, which is totally fine. But I see myself as more outgoing, I show more emotion, either that be more, happy on the course or more upset on the course, either way. But he's just kind of just like the whole time, But I mean, I like being, this game means a lot to me. I'm very passionate about it. And to a point, I'm not going to, rage and all of that, but I get upset. It's frustrating. Or I'm super excited. So, but he's very just like, I'm not trying to I'm sounding mean. But he's very,
he's level
when he's playing.
He's pretty level.
He's very level. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. He just has a we'll say more consistent or steady demeanor, and you're a little bit more excitable in some capacities.
Yeah.
Now, maybe this plays into it, but I think a huge stark contrast, as you just mentioned, he's got a friend group, obviously similarly aged, friends and travel people. And then you have a different lifestyle and travel arrangement because you're on the road full time with your wife, right?
Yes.
So do you feel like that factors probably a lot into, you guys even being in totally different states and cities this weekend?
Yeah. First of all, just being married on the road, I've had to grow up a lot. I can't be a bachelor out here on the road, doing whatever. So that's definitely taken a part of just, I've moved my life in a little different direction than he has. But yeah, and obviously I love playing with him, love seeing him. We'll practice together. But if I want to go somewhere else, I'm not like, we're not like traveling together,
Sure.
So, but yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, I was just going to say, is there ever a time, obviously most of the time you guys are at the same events due to being on the pro tour and it's just obvious. But then on a weekend like this where a decision could be made,
does being away from him factor into the tour at all for you? Like, could you say like, maybe he's going to Las Vegas, 303 Masters? No, I could use my space.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've actually never played Vegas. I want to, in the future, and I saw this as an opportunity to, first of all, go play the Masters as I've always wanted to do. And let's be real, I am not going to win at Vegas on a ball golf course. It's just not going to happen. I mean, it could. But
why?
maybe.
Connor,
yeah, you could.
Connor Rock, 10-12 rated.
Yeah.
That's
like-
I get it. Yeah, but I don't know. I could,
Okay.
but I felt more comfortable going to the Masters.
Sure.
Just playing. And a lot of it was if it wasn't the same weekend, I would probably go to Vegas. Just because I haven't been there either. But I love the Masters type of golf that I've seen online, so I figured I'd give it a try. But yeah. So.
And from here on out, if maybe scroll up a little, Johnny, and look, I was going to say from here on out, your tour schedule. We'll pull it up. I see Turku Open. I see Krokol.
I'm not playing.
Okay, so
Yeah.
no Norway, then probably no European Open and no
I'm going to the
Estonia.
European Open.
You are.
European Open is the only one. Yeah, I'm flying out for a week. So.
Okay, so will you still not do Krokol, which is the week before, or the Estonian festival after?
Nope.
Why not?
Just the European Open. Because that's like the only chance I get to go home.
Okay.
So I'll be home for I think a week before and a week after the European Open, which is, I miss my family like crazy, so that'll be good. And then also with Worlds being over there next year, and some bigger tournaments, I'm going to be over there for a month and a half, whatever I need to be to play all of those. So that's going to be, and we were there for a month last year, so
Okay.
just kind of taking a little trip over there this year.
Yeah, and I'm looking at your schedule, and there's, especially with those clarifications, there's essentially no surprises whatsoever, here on your schedule. We're going to see you at pretty much all the big events that are here in the U.S. One of the few open weekends would be the Titan event, the Titan Open that you'll be at instead. Outside of that, there's nothing that looks at all out of the ordinary, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I just talked to Connor about this, and it's a bit of new development that I think I'm going to be involved in helping cover the Cascade Challenge next weekend, which I'm really excited about. But when it comes to some of these Q series, whether it's that or the Diameter Open at the end of the year, or I know Beehive and a bunch of other ones are happening. What's your stance on that? Are those just weekends that you can go get more good competitive golf in? Like, how do you feel about those being out there and available?
Yeah. So for somebody who doesn't have the tour card, I think it's fantastic.
Okay.
I think that's super helpful for them. I think for tour card holders, I think for me, it's just another payday kind of thing. A little less stressful without the points for us.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, it kind of takes the stress out of it. It doesn't mean as much as the Disco Pro Tour, like a DGPT event win, even though it's still technically, a DGPT event. But, so it's just kind of like almost like a break week, not quite, but less stressful, and you can still make decent money. So it's just another, like, not taking a week off of work kind of thing.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's been talks online right now about whether or not touring pros should be able to play the Q series or even A tiers and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think as we're still a pretty young sport, and I think it makes a lot of sense for you guys to go there and be able to make a little bit extra cash and whatnot.
When you think about the rest of the season and where you travel to, and I know you kind of just mentioned that with even the Masters Cup decision, is there a section of the country or a collection of a couple courses or anything like that that really gets you going and excited about, a part of a swing or a, like I said, a section of the tour? Is there anything that...
Yeah. I would think I really enjoyed Des Moines last year. That was the first year I played it. I think I took tied for third, I think, so first podium, I think, there. So I love that track. Ledgestone and Idlewild being back to back. I've been going to Ledgestone for, I think 6, 7, or 8 years in a row, since 2017, I think. So that would be 7. So that one means a lot to me, and I played well the last year, and then I did well at Champions Cup. So I know we're not playing Northwoods for Ledgestone, but I still love Eureka. And then Idlewild, I think that was the first top 10 I ever got, so I love that place. And then Vermont, Smuggler's Notch is just one of, again, top 3 of my favorite places. So I like that, and then Maple Hill. So I like kind of like towards the end of the tour track best.
Yeah, your list, you can't really go.
Have you played Beaver State Fling before?
I have not.
And you're going up to play that one?
Yes.
I think you're going to enjoy that one as well.
Yeah.
That's such a.
I've heard good things.
It's kind of one of those iconic courses that not quite to the level of De La. I don't know if anything gets that iconic, short of maybe USEGC. But I think you're gonna enjoy Beaver State.
Yeah, the majestic beauty, the trees, the atmosphere,
just the shot shaping.
It's certainly is special out there. You mentioned something about your car, and I don't want to go all straight up downer here or anything, but I have seen some of your posts. So explain to the world what is a present day struggle that you're dealing with on tour with regards to your travels.
Yeah. So we just got this car in January. It's a 2022 Subaru Outback, super reliable, all that. It ends up breaking down from Kansas on our way to Santa Cruz. Stuck on the side of the road for 9 hours overnight because AAA couldn't get us or gave up on us or something.
What?
Yeah. So that super sucked. Not super happy with them.
Yeah. Okay.
It's okay. Towed it to a local mechanic. They couldn't figure out what was wrong. Had it towed to Amarillo, Texas, 3 hours away. They worked at the Subaru dealership, and it's all under warranty and everything. So they worked on it, and I got a text yesterday saying it was all fixed and ready to go. But we had to get a rental car to drive down to Santa Cruz, and I'm under 25, so that wasn't very, very pretty.
I forget about that.
Yeah. So really, really glad that I wanted to make some of that money back. Subaru is reimbursing us for the tow and the rental car.
Okay.
But I have to fly out of here Sunday night to Amarillo, Texas, pick up my car Monday morning, and then drive 25 hours up to Washington.
As if the West Coast drives and swing from Kansas isn't bad enough to have to almost double it. Like you drove it twice. That sucks. Honestly, I don't know if there's a better word to say than that. Just sucks.
Yeah, so it's been super stressful all week, all last week, and honestly surprised I won. But we're here. We're gonna play this one and then figure it out. So, but I think the light's at the end of the tunnel for that. So that's good.
I would think about, and I don't know if even know if it's possible. Look on TaskRabbit or find someone to drive your car from Amarillo to where you're at, so you don't have to fly over and back. I don't know. It just seems like a pain.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, I looked into it. Asked Subaru. I've been talking to Subaru corporate for the last week, and they said that nobody's able to ship it or drive it or anything like that, which sucks. But I had a guy reach out to me and was like, "Hey, I have a company who could maybe ship it to you," and it was quoted $1,500. I was like, I'll rather just pay my $300 ticket to fly there and then drive it. Save me some money. But I mean, people have been super, super great reaching out and trying to help. So it's been awesome that way. But it's just, I mean, people go through this all the time on the road. That's one of the things that you got to factor in. So
yeah,
it just it always sucks when it's you, right? And then another way clearly to look at it is things could be so much worse. Somebody else has it way worse off. The fact that you have a newer car that still was under warranty, as much as the retrieval absolutely sucks,
Yeah.
It could always be worse, I think, is the phrase, and I know
What's
that.
actually funny is last year we had a camper van, whatever, 2002, so as old as I was, and it actually broke down in Kansas
Oh
last
wow!
year. And we had Gannon Burr in the back of the car for 12 hours at the auto body shop. So that was fun.
Wow,
I was just
insult to
gonna say,
injury.
Kansas,
Yeah,
yeah, Kansas. I'm just gonna avoid Kansas, avoid the veteran baskets, and just
it sounds
Yeah.
like there's a vortex over there that's just not treating you right.
It's got to be something like the heat and the constant driving. I don't know. But
I'm sorry. Did you say exactly what did they narrow it down to or nail it down to, and then like is it common? Whatever the problem was.
So yeah, it was a fuel injector problem.
Okay.
I don't know too much about that myself. I know a little bit, but so it was misfiring a lot,
Okay.
and then because of that, it ended up clogging up the catalytic converter, so they had to replace that too. And then so all of that, which was
I mean, at least it's covered. It's only two years old. It's covered under warranty. There's just
but
such a
nonetheless.
pain. So
I like how you
It's just
opened
like-
with bought a Subaru, nice and 2022 reliable.
right.
But
Yeah, I mean, if this happened from Ledgestone to Idlewild, that's fine. It's 4 hours. Who cares?
sure.
But it's a 20-hour gap. So,
Yeah. Just at a very inopportune time.
Yeah.
Not that there's ever a good time for a.
ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll play OTB, and then like Sunday night, are you on a
Yeah.
flight?
Flying overnight. Yeah. So,
Wow.
Is it just going to be you, or are you going to, or someone going with you?
Yeah. Is it your wife as well?
it's just going to be me.
Okay.
My wife is actually she got a really cool opportunity towards the end of the season to go coach soccer. She's
Oh.
a really big soccer player. Did it all through high school. Could have gone on to better things, but she messed up her ankle pretty bad towards the end. And but she's going to teach or coach a local traveling girls team, I think.
Okay.
Towards the end of the season, so she's going back for like tryouts and stuff. So to pick her
Okay.
team for a couple weeks. So
And-
she won't be with me, but
I think a pretty common question, because there is so much creativity, but a common question on the tour is what's it like for the significant others, husbands, wives, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever, fiancés, there's everything on tour. What is her, prior to this, what is her, I don't want to say life plan, work or non-work, like, does she get to work from the road on other things that she's doing or involved with, or what's that been like for her and your situation? Because I know she doesn't play, week in and week out.
yeah. So yeah, before we went on the road, she was working at Publix. She had a job and everything, and then we decided to kind of drop that, and then we haven't really found something like a job wise for her to do on the road yet. But she has gone back to the soccer scene, and she'll play. She'll look at different cities. There's an app or something fancy, like pickup games, local pickup games to where we are. And I'm actually outside of one right now. So she's in there playing. Yeah, she'll do that a couple times a week. So that gives her something to do.
Wow.
And then she is a super big help, and she'll do the shopping. Which, if she wasn't here, like these next couple weeks, I'm not going to know what to do. Like, I don't know what to get, so I'll figure it out. But she's super helpful with that. And then she'll make dinner most of the time. And so it's super, and she's kind of like my tour manager, gets me where I need to be, helps focus on the other things, aspects of life while I do this or, So it's super helpful.
And I certainly, wasn't in any way, shape, or form want to downplay. I just know that everyone kind of has a different strategy. Some people are able to, still work remotely. Sometimes that's a concern. Sometimes that's not. And we see so many different players. Hannah Macbeth just chimed in online and said, I need a touring babysitter who enjoys holding cute babies so she can sleep. So,
and I enjoy holding cute babies. So,
okay. So, so it sounds like you guys could find a way. I like it.
I mean, I got 7 other siblings. I'm pretty good with kids, I guess.
I believe that then.
Well, that brings up something I was thinking. Are there any other Robinsons that are going to make the tour? Male, MPO, FPO? Like, you guys all played as a family. Are we going to see any more of you on tour anytime soon?
They all play. And they have fun playing. My sister played for a little bit, and she can throw so far. She loves throwing her diamond.
Okay.
And, but she said this is for boys, and I'm not really interested. So she's kind of stopped playing a little bit. But my younger brother Gideon, he's 12, and he just won a tournament this last weekend. Him and my dad won MP40 and then juniors. So
Dang.
I don't know. That might spark something in him. He can throw a forehand really well, better than Isaac or me. That's fun. But yeah, I mean, they play just for fun for now. But they could definitely. I want to see them take down Junior Worlds. They could definitely, if they practice a little bit, they could get there. My brother Nathan, he could throw just as far as me, if not further. So they definitely have potential.
Yeah, as soon as you were just saying that about your dad and your other brother, one of your other brothers, I'm thinking, will I see any of them at a Masters Worlds or a Junior Worlds or an AM Worlds or anything like that? Are they serious enough that they would show up to something of that nature, or is it going to be mostly regional and local stuff right now?
Probably right now just local stuff.
Okay.
I think they would probably do it just for the experience, just to say they did.
Yeah.
See where that goes. I would love my dad to play Masters Worlds. That'd be sick. I would almost send him out there and like try to pay for his plane or something. I don't know, but I think he would really enjoy it. Would he win? Yes, he would.
Oh wow!
But
it's you don't want to send him this year because it's in Kansas.
So
don't don't
rent it. If you go there, just rent a car at the border, drive your car in, drive another car out.
I'll stop him on the border. I'll be like, hey, I'm not going a step further.
Am Worlds this year is in Grand Rapids area, and Junior Worlds is in Tulsa. Anyway, it would be awesome to see more of you guys out there. I don't think I fully put it all together. I certainly didn't at the time, about you guys being in Wisconsin for the AM Worlds here in Madison, and it makes me want to go dig up the footage and be a little more intent with it. I know AB's AM Worlds footage kind of has been talked about and recycled a little bit lately, but the year after, when you guys came to Madison, I was like, okay, I wasn't all in on the AM scene that year, but you guys having ties and performing well here as well is pretty cool.
Yeah.
What do you remember anything in particular about some of those AM days or some of those big AM tournaments? Is there anything that stands out, or maybe a word of encouragement to someone that's on the fence about going and getting into a AM major of sorts?
Yeah. So unfortunately, I guess not, but I never got to play in the NAGT. If I'm saying that right, that series. But looking back, like I kind of wish I had known about it. I really didn't know about it. But I played some local advanced tournaments. I played advanced at a Hall of Fame Classic one time. I think I got like 5th or something. But really after, and that was all before Junior World, so I was 13.
Yeah, sure.
Or younger. I cashed in my first pro tournament when I was 12. Didn't take cash, but so I was very big on my local scene. And then once I went and won Junior Worlds, after that I went pro, just because I knew that I could compete with the pro people around my area. And then just started playing with the pros in my area and watching them, and then. You play with better people, you tend to get a little better. So I wasted no time in doing that. So that super helped, for sure.
Who were some of the top dogs in your area?
Matt Dollar was the local legend. I remember meeting him for the first time. I was all starstruck. He's always been very encouraging and still is. He follows everything and all that. So he's one of my main people I look up to in Georgia for sure. Kevin McCoy,
Yep.
he's a local legend as well. Played with him several times, got some good conversations with him, and he's been, again, very, very encouraging. Um, Dave Felberg's down there now.
Sure.
I think he's from Georgia now. So I've gotten to talk to him more recently. But I mean, just hearing some of his stories is, really, really inspiring and all that. So those are a few people that I can name.
Sure.
That really helped.
Yeah, it's. I was a little more familiar with specifically the Atlanta scene for a few years, and lots of obviously great people, a lot of good history coming out of there as well. But Georgia is certainly not no shortage of great golfers and great inspirations, which is awesome to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything, I know we talked about your tour and essentially no surprises, but is there anything that's on a bucket list or on a off the beaten path that you really want to go sightsee or partake in that's not golf related? Is there anything that is on your list this year?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about now after having to drive from Texas up to Washington, but I want to go see. I got to see the Redwoods last week in Santa Cruz, which is really cool. Got to see the Grand Canyon on the way over from Texas. We were only there for like 45 minutes because we were time crunched. But I want to go see Crater Lake. That's one of my biggest things that I want to see. I think it's up that direction. But yeah, just I didn't sightsee much last year, and it's going to be easier to do in a Subaru if it's running. So than a big van. So definitely trying to see some national parks, Crater Lake, some more redwoods up there.
Sure.
Up in towards Oregon. Just everything that I possibly can. So
what is it at the end of the day? And I know more often than not you have your wife with you, and maybe it's a shared activity or not. But what is it at the end of the day that allows you to just completely relax and just melt away the day's golf and the physicality, the mental stuff, everything? What does it that kind of resets you mentally and gets you to calm down?
For the past couple months, it's been watching The Office.
Okay.
Going through it for the first time, and I think it's definitely probably my favorite show I've ever seen.
Okay.
I'm nearing the end now, but I'm a Jim Halpert fan for sure. I think I can relate to him a little bit. But we normally like watch a movie or watch a show, and then just either we like eating, going out and trying local places, all that. So we'll do that, or just like go for a walk around sunset in nature. If we're not, we went to the redwoods, we went to like a little redwood park or whatever, and we walked that, and it was just very relaxing, not even thinking about disc golf, just talking. Just little stuff like that really helps.
And you say relaxing, that's funny you say a walk and all that other stuff. I'm inspired, and I love seeing what feels like an extra dedication that you, your wife, and for a little bit your brother as well, maybe during more in the off season, you guys have been hitting the gym and have been, it appears like that is a core element of your seemingly daily routine. And so first of all, it's inspirational and I want to commend you on it, but what has that been like for you guys? Because it seems like it's built into your regimen.
Yeah. So last year, obviously, you could tell just by looking at me last year that it was not a priority whatsoever. And it was, it started, I knew I had to do something. When I would like look at pictures that the Disco Pro Tour took. Yeah. And then, I would see, and I was like, I've always been kind of self-conscious about, the way I look, especially on camera and all that, which I think most people are. But, so seeing that, and then like people on the internet can, I don't know if y'all know, but can be kind of mean.
No,
Um, yeah,
no.
I don't
I
know.
mean, I have this
So
godlike,
Physique.
physique already. Nobody picks on me. So yeah,
yeah,
okay, go on. Tell me about the mean
so
internet.
yeah, I mean, I thought it was a safe place, yeah, no, but and it really just made me see that like I had to do something.
Sure.
So we started going to Ironwood Fitness. It's
Mm-hmm.
a local gym back home, but they do all the online stuff as well. And I was able to lose over 20 pounds in the off season,
Mm-hmm.
which actually threw off my disc golf game quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because it like instead of rounding a lot, I had to learn to
Mm-hmm.
pull through a little better, and stuff kept coming out a little early and all that. So that was fun to fix. But yeah, that's been really helpful, and it's so easy just to grab fast food on the road and just eat because
Mm-hmm.
and so being
Convenience.
able to yeah, oh yeah, and that's what we did all last year. And I mean, shoot, already this year, like I'm performing better. Like my average from this time to last year is way better. I'm feeling a lot better. I can walk OTB without being really winded.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I cheated and rode a golf cart today, but I'm sure I can. You know, but and that's just really helped, and they've really encouraged us and helped us. And we have like our personal trainers online, and we text them and call them pretty much every week if we need something. And so definitely shout out to Ironwood Fitness. Yeah, go check them out. But yeah, so that's been a huge help. And just honestly, I'm kind of rambling, but just the discipline it takes to do that really helps in other aspects of life too. Like I don't want to go practice my putting because it's raining or it's cold or I'm tired. But I have the discipline. It's kind of built up a little discipline to like get your butt out there, go do it, go do cardio for 30 minutes, go do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's grown up, matured in that way a little bit. So yeah,
Well, yeah. Again, I see it, and I'm not even as concerned about your results. Just the fact that I see the post of you guys, dedicating yourselves to it, and it's absolutely awesome to see. And I know there's a number of our competitors that are obviously really dedicated to that lifestyle, and it seems like you guys have put that into your routine, which I think is the probably one of the biggest first hurdles is, like you said, having that discipline to get into the routine. And then maybe from there, it's a matter of just maintaining, but jumping into that, creating those good habits and breaking the bad ones are probably are the toughest things. So it's very cool to see. And maybe just to wrap that point up, what would be your recommendation? Because I'm sure your off-season stuff looked different from what you'll be doing tomorrow, or a day, of the tournament. How do you balance, or what are some of the things that you concern yourself with, and how do they instruct you in that way?
Yeah. So obviously in the off season, I'm pretty much doing it 5 days a week in the gym with the local gym, lifting weights, doing cardio, all that like heavier stuff. If it's like during a tournament week, I'll definitely still do the cardio. And all that, because I mean, shoot, that's just you just have to hunker down and do that. But and then I'll lift some, but it's more like more lighter weight, just to get the muscles burning a little bit, but not so sore that you can't throw disc. But just kind of balance that, and then they have like they just give us a list of all the stuff we're supposed to do, and I've talked to them several times, and in person and on the phone, and kind of told him what I need during the week, and especially like the Thursday before a tournament. He's really adjusted and met me where I'm at, and adjusted and knows what I'm going through to be able to still go to the gym and still play effectively. So
that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you obviously you have that kind of that help and assistance and guidance. Then do you still check in with a Seth Muncie from time to time, or somebody, from the Pro Tour in terms of your warm-ups and all of that? Or do you feel like you're kind of on a path that works for you, and maybe some of those other, benefits from the tour aren't as crucial to you? Where do you, do you?
Yeah. I I've talked to Seth a handful of times, and a couple of years ago, I think I did the little off season training thing
Mm-hmm.
he had. But I actually haven't really like I know Gavin Babcock does something that Seth gave him, but I actually haven't really talked to Seth that much. Maybe I should, but I feel like I'm going to find place where I'm at now. I feel warmed up, feel loose, like after the gym and everything before I play. So I think I'm fine. But
Yeah, I mean, if you already have your own resource, I
Yeah.
mean,
yeah,
I'm sure Seth's not struggling to find time for people. So it's do what makes you feel best, and it's clearly worked this year as we've seen the results on coverage quite a bit. So
yeah.
Before we let you go, I know you guys obviously have a big week coming up, OTB and all that, and prepping mentally and physically for your drive. But anything you want to share with the rest of the world? Anything we didn't touch on? Any other stories, info, updates, anything else that you want to share before you then also give us all your sponsors and how we can follow you? But anything else you want to share?
I just want to say how blessed I am to be out here. And a lot of the time, in different states, we're staying in host homes. So we're staying with people we don't know, just from the disc golf community. And it makes it so much easier on us, not having to, pay a ton every single week to stay somewhere. So, I mean, for all the people out there who help disc golfers in that way, I just want to give a huge thanks. And, just everybody who's encouraged me along the way and rooting for me. I just, I'm a Georgia boy. I never expected to be here. And I'm just super blessed to be here. Like I said, I never imagined it would take me this far, but enjoying it while I can, and just really appreciating all the love and support out there. So,
well, it is all rightfully deserved. It's so great to see both you and your brother, the journeys, whether it's together or separated in whatever capacity. It's awesome to see you guys out there, and then to see it maybe is icing on top of the cake of then watching you perform at the levels that you do. It's great to have you and your personalities out there, but then even to shoot the golf that you do and entertain and wow all of us the way that you guys do, especially the long range putting. Is I
don't get sick of it.
Same way I feel about 3-pointers in the NBA. I'll never get bored by them, and I'm always in awe. So it's definitely been incredible. How can people go out and directly and even indirectly, how can people go out and follow and support you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I forget my it's Ezra Robinson, I think. So I'm on Instagram.
I'll find you here. I know we communicated that way. I'll post it out there. You're Ezra _Robinson _02.
Okay, perfect. Yes. I always appreciate the follows. I try to put out good content because I understand not following people because they just don't post good content. So I get it. That is probably my main social media. I tried to start up a YouTube channel, but I got kind of lazy.
Or busy.
So, I'll get back to it. Yeah. But yeah, and then I have, if you go to projectdiscs.com, I have some custom stamp discs there. I'll be selling custom stamp discs at different stops, so just come by and see me. Reach out, whatever. I'll try to get everything the best I can. I do want to give one shout out to Walton County Disc Golf. That's my home county where I'm from, and that is the best club I've ever been a part of, and they just do a lot of good work. Ryan, the president, is just genuinely one of the nicest guys ever, and they threw me a going away party. I had no idea, and so just love on the Walton guys for a little while. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't have anything else. My family, hi. My mom. Yeah.
Well, we love it. I can't say it enough. You joined a very, very special club in becoming a champion out there in Santa Cruz. Congrats to, I know, Owen Scoggins on the FPO side, smashing everyone and adding her name to the list again. But
they're just notching it for her now.
Yeah, little tick marks. But a very special club on a very special historic piece of property. And clearly, as we said, we've been seeing you plenty this year, and hopefully we continue to see you atop the leaderboards, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. So thanks so much for joining us tonight, and we wish you the best this weekend at OTB, and we wish you the best in your long cross country travels in your Subi.
We're always happy to have the highest rated Robinson on.
Yeah,
that's how we feel.
Let's
go.
That's what we
awesome.
love.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I've seen plenty of these episodes, so glad to be a part of one. So heck yeah.
Anytime, man. All right, everyone. That's Ezra Robinson taking down the Masters Cup this weekend. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you follow him on Instagram, and I'm sure you're going to be seeing him on plenty of leaderboards here in 2024. Have a good night. Thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you. You guys as well.
All right,
thanks, Ezra.
Your favorite Robinson brother, right?
I didn't say that.
Well, I mean,
said,
you have to now.
I don't have to.
I think you do.
I said the highest rated. We always want the highest rated Robinson brother on.
Yeah.
Maybe in a few months that'll change. I don't know, but we always want the highest rated Robinson.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll take any of them.
We'll take either of them whenever.
All
or
right,
apparently the little brother, or apparently dad.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe we should have had them on because
I mean, just finding out he's got another brother in his family that throws farther than him. Potentially,
yeah. I mean, I know they're Isaac? Not. Yeah, they're not. They're not lighting. They're not winning any long drive contests, but they are clearly throwing far enough to compete on the pro tour. And if you've got like a 12 or 13-year-old brother that's already doing that, that's just not fair. Again,
getting
not fair.
The work done. So yes, congrats again on the win. Do we? You want to circle back?
Yeah, we're going to circle back
quickly
to Copenhagen FPO.
Check in on Copenhagen. Oh my gosh, so many courses, so many.
I know it's been normally you would think we'd start with Copenhagen, but we had two awesome interviews that we needed to get to. So let's quickly, or maybe not so quickly, we'll see, talk about the FPO division at the Copenhagen Open because it was an awesome battle. Asalu shot two phenomenal rounds to start. She shot a 58 and a 59 at the Copenhagen course. Same course.
Mm-hmm.
Evelina starts out with a 56. I'm sorry, 65. 65. So she's down by 7 strokes. Just, no, is that right? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. 7 strokes after the first round. Second round, Evelina Salonen comes out with a 56 to Alsalu's 59. And then, not just, you could look at it and say, oh, Evelina shot a 61, Alsalu shot a 65. It went into a playoff, but it was how it went into a playoff, with Evelina eagling the final hole with a circle 2 putt, something that obviously in the past people would probably mock you for saying. But Evelina has really turned around the script on her play and her mentality. And I mean, she's always had a smile and whatever out there on her face, but to eagle 1,073-foot par 6, and Alsalu comes out with a birdie 5, and Evelina knew she had to eagle it in order to move on. So then we go into the playoff holes. There's 2 playoff holes. They both bogey the first hole. We move on to the second hole. Evelina Salonen again hits a circle 2 putt in order to win the event over Alsalu. And it was such an exciting round, the way things back. At one point, Alsalu had, I believe, in the final round, 9 strokes on her. And just hole 7 and 8, Evelina picked up 4 strokes in those 2 holes. Plus, go back to hole 6 where she picked up a stroke. Mm-hmm. But those 2 holes really flipped the scenario to where you're like, oh, maybe she does have a chance.
Yeah.
And Alsalu just kind of, she really, I don't say she melted down. She didn't melt down, but she ultimately started. I don't know if she got tired, but her game wasn't nearly as on point as it was earlier in the event. So Evelina Salonen with a huge comeback win just in the final round. But overall, a huge comeback win to win the Copenhagen Open, the DGBT event, over in Copenhagen, Denmark.
Yeah, and I go all the way back to when the event initially started, and it came on at like 2:30 in the morning our time, and I happened to be up on that night, Thursday night. Yeah, it was Thursday night. Because they were playing Friday morning, but it was Thursday night for us at 2:30 in the morning, and I'm watching Kaidi open the tournament, and I think it was with 5 consecutive birdies.
Yeah.
The first 5 holes. I was like, okay. She'd go on to have that incredible round, as you just referenced, saying that she shot I think a 56 or a 57 or whatever it was, and had the hot round by 3 strokes. Really impressive. Correction, it was the first 4 holes that she had birdied, but then ultimately birdied 9 out of the 18 holes to finish with an 8 under, just the 1 bogey on hole 6. So awesome to see. It talks again about just the overall parity that we see among so many of our top women and how competitive it continues to be. Lots of that due to our international competitors. Yeah. And I know they were not here this time, but to see what they were doing over there. And one of the most exciting, this is completely selfish, one of the most exciting things to see is that I know, as I'm looking at the Copenhagen results, I know I've either talked to and or commentated on at least 8 out of the top 8 women. I don't know Sonia Laine. I don't believe that I know her personally. Maybe even 10th. Yeah, Christy Und. So yeah, 9 out of the top 10 women, which what that's signifying is just the concept of household names, the concept of regular competition, our regular contenders, our typical contenders, and what they're doing to establish the game and their names for themselves. It's incredible overall to see. Silva Saarinen
in third place,
finishing in third. Someone we talk about quite a bit, especially as recently as the Champions Cup. Heidi Laine, who we talk about all the time. I mean, she, as usual, has no trouble picking up a ton of birdies when she's out on any given track. We've seen Anniken Sten do her work out there, and she's picked up wins. Jenny Karppinen, I know we've had her on some coverage. So just overall, very cool. I will admit, I still don't. I have never had to pronounce Annale's last name, but I'm going to work on that.
Huas Manest?
Somebody has said it somewhere correctly. I promise you that. Yeah. I just haven't heard it, so we'll have to go out and do the work.
Yeah,
she's not going anywhere either.
No, she's such a good player.
She was on the lead card during European Open last year. I think she was on lead card for second or third round. So very, very cool to see. Did we open the show? Did we talk about Kristen?
We have not even mentioned it yet.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
What a disservice.
Arguably the biggest news of the weekend. I know. Well, the thing is, we got to the interviews and we got to this.
Yes,
you don't want to, I mean, we don't want to cut this shorter or short change it, but Kristen Tatar is now your first 1,000 rated FPO player. She gained a point from her 999, and I know it was close, is my understanding, but to get to the 1,000 rated it's an arbitrary number, as we all know. Is she that much of a better player than she was yesterday? No, but it just goes to show the progression of her as a player, the FPO as a division, and women in this sport in general. It is amazing that she has had this sort of consistency for this long. And she even made a social media post. I believe it was Jonathan from Lat64 posted something where they called her up and congratulated her and whatnot. And she said something. She's like, yeah, it means a lot to me because I didn't try to cherry pick events. I played everything I wanted to play, meaning I think she played some of the events that we questioned even her on, like the Persimmon event. And there was one other one that she didn't necessarily need to play this year. I think that she had gone to because it wasn't a Pro Tour event. We were saying, well, maybe she should have taken a week off, mentally recuperate. No, she just played. When she's in play mode, she She plays disc golf.
Yeah.
She goes home, and it looks like she has herself a fantastic, relaxing lifestyle right now where she lives with her family and with Silver. To be Kristen seems to be a good thing right now.
Well, congratulations. We could say it, a thousand times over and over, but certainly historic. And I, like you said, to some degree, I can understand how people want to call it arbitrary. I was going to say it's arbitrary, but it's not, right? Like there's obviously a very serious significance that is attached to it. And if you want to get nitpicky and you want to, find a way to pick it apart, you can. If you want to be that person for whatever reason, that's if that's your prerogative, then go for it. I don't think of someone like a Paige as a lesser competitor that had only got to 996. That obviously was historic, and it was only been Kristen that has gotten past a number which Paige set a few years ago. There's just a reason for everybody to celebrate. And for me, I think I worded on, I saw it late in the evening last night. It was after midnight.
Yeah,
I think they had already been out there.
Yeah, they released at midnight.
And I'll just say what I said there, which is I believe this can be a celebration for so many, for Kristen, for her family, for Estonia, for sponsors for our sport, for women's disc golf, for the events, for the fans, for the PDGA, and yes, even for her competitors. And then I went on to say this was before the post was made with her and Jonathan. I said records have been set and broken by incredible athletes like Kristen, who will likely graciously recognize and accept the accomplishment, and then she will quickly get back to business of being the professional that she is through and through. Yeah.
And her interview, we all kind of made the assumption like she probably doesn't care. Like she's not focused on it. I think maybe she was, based on what she had said, that I think maybe it was in the back of her head a little bit. And that adds a little bit extra pressure. So regardless of what happens now, whether she goes up a point or she goes down a point, I don't think it matters as much, but she has that under her belt. There's really, is it going to make a big difference if she gets to 1,003, 1,002?
Yeah, because
what's the next? The thing is, what's the next barrier for her or for FPO? Now we can say, is it 1,010? Just because it's an even round number.
Yeah.
I just that glass ceiling, so to speak, is broken. And first of all, I hope we see more women jump up there. The way Evelina's been playing, it wouldn't shock me if she could get up there in the next couple of years. But I hope that this releases or relieves some stress on her, even if it's minor in the back of her head. And if it does, look out FPO field, because she's only going to get, more deadly.
Yeah, and I think there is probably a fine line of does she care versus is she focused? You can care, but not maybe focus on it too much. And that, from my understanding of her posts and her messaging, that's kind of how I would describe it. Of course, she knew about it. Did she wake up in the morning and think, I want to win, but I really need to win by 7 because that's gonna be double weighted. I don't think she was putting in that type of effort.
No, but I'm sure she's online.
Definitely knowing and thinking, and what I'm doing does have a bigger impact.
I guarantee you she sees online posts or is notified of them or talks about them where people up in, the last couple months have been like, oh, she needs to shoot this rating in order to get there. She needs to shoot this. Like, that has to be a little bit of weight on your shoulders.
Sure.
If you know that, because it's almost impossible to get away from it. And now it doesn't matter. Like, literally, no one is going to expect her to get to 10-10. No one's going to expect her to get to 10-20.
Sure.
If she does, awesome. That's great. But I think we're a good leap away from that yet. And I don't know. It's just a really cool thing for disc golf in general and her. Do you think, I'm sure we're going to see some sort of disc commemorative.
Yeah, they've already talked about that. Yeah,
exactly.
As there should be.
There definitely should be. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the phrasing was there's something unique or new or different or out of the ordinary. Whatever it is, I'm all on board. If you don't like it, you don't think it's a big deal, clearly you don't need to buy it, as with most of your life choices. But it carries an historic significance that certainly, in my opinion, can and should be celebrated. Just for giggles, I will maybe as a timestamp here on May 14th, 2024, as she has made it to 1,000 on the dot. When you do a search by ratings within FPO, Onskagins rated 987. Evelina Salonen jumped up 7 points to be rated 984 as of today. Missy Gannon up to 981. Holland Hanley 977. And Hannah Blomrose at 975. Just, yeah. So, there we go. Interestingly enough, Evelina Salonen with her win this weekend. This is interesting because it obviously was different a few days ago. Evelina Salonen, as of right now, has played one more total event than Kristen has here in 2024 and has just surpassed Kristen by about $1,000 in total earnings for the year. Evelina's at $33,688. Kristen, $32,750. Those are your two highest money earners, with Owen Scoggins right behind her at $28,879. So I know we're not big stats or numbers guys, but some of these are a little extra special and pretty cool. Something else quickly. Oh, another event that was out there real quick. Another Q Series event was played this weekend. This one taking place over outside of Denver, and it was the 303 Open. And when it was all said and done, I saw that Holly Finley had held off local Erica Weir and took that down. So congratulations to Holly Finley. And then Aaron Gossage held off fellow local in Joe Revere, and he took that down by 3. So
way to go, Aaron! You beat a Masters player. No, just kidding. We all know, obviously, had Joe on the show, and Joe's a phenomenal player, rated 1036, rated higher than Aaron Gossage, regardless of what division he plays.
So congrats to those guys, and just the fact that we had so much good golf literally all around the country and around the world this weekend. And I apologize, I don't know if I said the amount, but yeah, Holly looked like winning by 8. Is 8? Looked like 8. I don't know. Looked like enough. All right. Is there anything else we need in the regular show, or we could maybe shut this down? We'll then jump into a quick after show.
We can jump into a quick after show.
Yeah, we'll do that. We had a couple of great interviews, and sounds like a good time to close it up, and then we'll head to an after show. Wow. With that, big thanks to both of our guests tonight. That was the first time having Connor. I think it was the first time having Ezra as well, which seems surprising, but I think that it was the case.
Yeah, I don't know if Ezra's ever jumped in the background of some of our.
Yeah, so well, he's right where he belonged in the front
foreground.
hot seat tonight. So congratulations to both of them. Congratulations to all the winners worldwide that we touched on, and thank you to all the TDs and staff and everyone else that made each and every one of those events go down the way they did this weekend. We appreciate it. So for Ezra Robinson, your champ out there at Santa Cruz, along with Connor Rock, your champion in Las Vegas. For Johnny V, I'm the Disc Golf Guy. This is podcast 506. We're going to take a super quick break, and then when we come back, we'll have the after show where who knows what things will get talked about. But there'll be some disc golf and non-disc golf topics all in the mix. We'll see you then. You step inside the Smash Box.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the Smashbox TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashboxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV Podcast 506's After Show. Nailed it.
Yeah, we always do.
Some days better than others. Welcome in. It's the After Show. If you're new here, I'm sorry. But
Don't
welcome.
apologize for us, Terry Miller.
Welcome.
We're awesome.
The After Show is, believe it or not, a time where we may go off the rails of typical disc golf conversation, and it may lead to topics that are no way related to disc golf, but oftentimes they are. Or they could just be something you guys present, something you need us to talk about. Lots of pop culture. I was informed this weekend. There's a lot of things I was informed of, including how poorly I can play now that I don't practice or ever play. But besides that, more importantly, I was informed that one Caitlin Clark is a flash in the pan and will be irrelevant in 2 years. So my question to you, Johnny, is do you take that bet?
No.
Can you agree with this?
I do not agree with it. I think Caitlin Clark is going to is she going to be as in the news as she is now? Of course not.
No, not
like
not
it would
likely on the daily.
It would be very difficult. Like right now they're talking a lot about how, they're getting ready for their first game, which is tonight. A sellout. Is that tonight? I wasn't sure if it was tonight or tomorrow or this weekend or what, but will she be as in the news? No, of course not. But guess who else isn't in the news right now? Usain Bolt. Would you call him a flash in the pan? I mean, as fast as he is, kind of. But in general, no. Like, that's just not... She's going to be probably a very good athlete in the WNBA. She's going to inspire a lot of women and girls in sports. No, flash in the pan is not what I would call her.
Or completely irrelevant, I think was maybe even the phrasing that was used. And let me be very clear. I am not claiming I've been a WNBA fan or a college fan. I'm not claiming any of that. I am not trying to jump on some soapbox or high horse.
But she's part of the zeitgeist right now.
Yeah. However, I liken what she has done. I'll say too, and this is obviously maybe anecdotal and just personal to me. I liken what she has done to what Ronda Rousey did for me with regard to MMA.
Sure.
Now it's crazy to think it was like almost 10 years ago, but I didn't really follow or know much. However, at some point, just hearing of her at the time dominance, and she had quite a fall. I get all that. But at the time, it was her dominance, and then there was her backstory that you could get interested in with her, with the Olympics and her, all of her other, disciplines and all that stuff. Of course, I don't think, like you said, it's going to be a conversation piece every single day. But I also liken it to what a Tiger did for golf at one point. Coincidentally, he's not that far different in age from us, but as we were coming into college, yeah. To suggest that Tiger didn't, inject a little energy into the, couple 100-year-old sport of golf, I think would obviously be crazy. Put on those scales or not, that's fine. But yeah, I think it's interesting. And my main rebuttal, and I get it, there's probably a lot of people even maybe that could be out there rolling their eyes and saying, who cares? I don't care. Nobody's going to care. That's fine. I think my big takeaway is I have a daughter who doesn't play basketball, doesn't seemingly care too much about basketball, but she looks to Caitlin Clark as an inspiration, as someone who works hard and has found success in being a very regimented competitor, athlete, role model, whatever. And that means something to me to see that unfold. And I get it. There's millions of people who will never care. And I'm not suggesting you have to. I'm not saying that at all. But I also don't think you have to be completely dismissive of the good that can come from it. And it's been pretty cool. With all that being said, did I see the home opener? Was that tonight? Not on their behalf. We're not having a WNBA update weekly by any means, but I think tonight was opening night. It looks like they got shellacked.
They lost by 20. It looked like she had a rough game. She committed 10 turnovers, which is a WNBA high for a debut game.
I take back everything nice I just said.
I know. And she, quote unquote, only scored 20 points. Team leading 20 points. But
in a loss, that doesn't matter.
Correct. It doesn't. Yeah.
The win is what matters.
That's right.
Yeah, Danica Patrick, someone said. Yeah, plenty of people got interested, probably from both sides, men and women, more interested in racing due to someone like her having that representation.
Yeah, Danica was different because she was breaking gender barriers into...
Correct. But
yeah,
nonetheless, some representation out there.
That's right.
Anyway, Tom says, what about talking about an 18-year-old that shot a 1088 rated round this weekend on final day at a B tier? I mean, we could talk about it. I won't downplay said accomplishment. It's funny, and what I mean by that is it's funny that 18-year-olds are no longer like a newfangled, like shiny new, quarter, right? Like, because we've now been spoiled by seeing Gannon Burr. We've been spoiled by even an Antela. We've been spoiled by, half the Finns that once we see them play, can fit into those categories. So impressive that our competitors are only just getting younger and younger and more talented. And 18-year-old Will Schusterich that won the US DGC all those years ago. But as the kids say, if you're 18, you're handing out flowers these days. So what are you seeing here, Johnny?
I did bring up the event, which is the Lord of the Fly, presented by Discraft.
Lords of the Fly.
Yep. And Kieran Hampson did win that. He shot a 47 on the final round, which was a 1088 rated round. The next closest was a 54, a 1027. I mean, that's a hell of a round, a 1088 round. That's one of those ones that, regardless of who you are, you probably put that on your mantle. Like, there are plenty of Pro Tour players who have not shot a 1088 round recently. So second place was Jesse Bickley. And, if you're Jesse, who is rated 9 points higher than Kieran, you tip your hat. I remember one of the things, it was very vivid. Timmy Gill out of Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
It was at Standing Rocks, the event I just played a couple weeks ago, but this was, almost 2 decades ago, probably. He had just, I think, taken second place. He lost. And I asked him, I was like, oh, whatever, good shoot. And he's like, I don't feel like I lost. I feel like I got beat. Like that, whoever it was, maybe it was probably Kale at the time, knowing.
Probably.
He's like,
Kale or Barry.
Yeah, like someone came out and just beat me. I didn't play poorly. I just got beat. And you have to tip your hat to someone who plays that much better than you. And there are days that you look at somebody who's playing and you think, I'm not catching them. No matter how great I'm playing, they're playing better. And
yeah,
most other, if you probably go back through their history, I bet you Jesse and Kieran are probably pretty competitive, being 9 points apart. But when Kieran has his day, man, you say, great round, buddy.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the win.
Yeah, impressive. And Tom Fenter's the one bringing it to our attention as Kieran had spanked Tom as well. So Tom
got third.
Tom taking it well. Yeah, because like you were just saying, Tom shoots 38 above his rating and still gets smashed. So very impressive. I'm sure this isn't probably the last. If you as I was just saying earlier, you don't accidentally go out and shoot a 1088 or anything in that neighborhood without knowing you've got some pretty special skills. So hopefully we'll continue to see and hear more from him. He said he parked a 600-foot par 4 on the 20th on the final hole of competition. So, a big topic of conversation, understandably.
Okay.
Is people have seen the Doss name appear at the Beaver State Fling registration list.
And the first thing that someone reached out to me and said, Johnny, you got to make sure he's on coverage. And first of all, I don't make those decisions. Second of all, I can almost guarantee you he'll be on coverage just because of the name and the area and who he is. Will he be feature card? I don't know. Maybe he'll be second card. I don't know. I hope he's on the feature card just because I think it'd be cool. Although it's kind of funny thinking that you almost have to set your expectations at a certain level, that Nate hasn't played in a competitive round like this in a few years. So to put him on a feature card, not that he's going to be wilting in front of cameras. We were throwing cameras in front of him when he was in his 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And he's obviously been in front of our DGN cameras. But you think he's going to have a hard time not commenting on himself? When he throws it, is he going to go disc in air?
No, I think he'll be pretty focused.
I guarantee he'll be focused.
For sure.
Nate's not the kind of guy that's going to come out and just want to willy-nilly, like, I'm just going to play this for fun. If he's coming out, it's going to be because he wants to be competitive. And I bet you he's practicing. I bet you he's putting now. I'm not saying Nate's going to make a comeback on the tour because
he's not.
Because he's not, and he has, bevel and everything. But he definitely wants to come out and not make a fool of himself.
Yeah, as many could understand that, someone that's as decorated and was always known as like as much fun as he was off the course, he was business on the course. Yeah. He was very serious, and some people, obviously, plenty of people never even saw that or knew that about him, and or had the pleasure, the experience of being around him.
I'll never forgive him for mean mugging me.
Yeah, so it was. So it's definitely made the news. I've known about this being in the works a little longer than most because obviously I visit with them and hang out with them quite often. And there may or may not be a bigger plan to the idea of Nate wanting to play a couple of other high level events. And this is a little test of the water. This is dipping his toe in to see, hey, if I give this a couple of weeks of effort and work myself back into throwing some discs, what might I still be capable of? And I of course, I'm going to sound like a stan or a homer for Nate because he is a friend. But I read one of the dumber things ever on the internet. But a gentleman was saying how something along the lines that Nate in his prime couldn't take top 3 or top 10 in current day disc golf.
Which is ridiculous because just literally the year before he left tour, he won GMC.
Beating Ricky and Paul and whomever. He beat all of the best that were on the tour. He beat them a year before he got off of the tour and went and started Bevel or
7
dedicated
years,
to
7 years
Bevel.
ago? Was that 2017 or was that 2019?
That was 2017 or 2018's Green Mountain Championships.
Yeah.
It was again, you don't luck
into 3 world championships.
Into 3 world titles.
No,
and was the competition
as packed
less
at the top?
Deep?
No.
Less deep back then, a little less deep. Sure, it was not quite as stout. That's just the nature of all of our sports.
So
literally, however, to imply that Nate had his prime, not to imply, to actually say it. I'm hoping they deleted their comment because I even wrote, I was ready to scroll by all this stupid nonsense and just roll my eyes at all of you dismissing him, but this one I can't ignore. This take is so dumb, I had to reply, and I referenced just that, the GMC event.
And I can understand dismissing him. If you dismiss him for this event, I completely get that. If you say, you know what, he's rusty, he hasn't played in a competitive round like this in 6 or 7 years, I don't think he's probably going to be he won't be at the top of the leaderboard. No one will really care about him on the final day. I can understand all of that.
Sure.
That's if Vegas is giving odds, they're probably closer to those odds than they are that Nate's going to come out and take a top 5.
Correct.
But to say what that person had said,
dismiss his previous prime world titles.
No.
Just to and since I have it up, I'll go ahead and also put it in the chat just so you guys can see it some other day. When Nate won GMC, excuse me, when he won GMC, the Green Mountain Championship in 2017, the second year of being a Pro Tour event, he beat Michael Johansson, Ricky Wysocki, Cale LaVisca, Paul Ulibarri, Zach Melton, Andrew Presnell, Philo Brathwaite, Jeremy Colling, Nathan Sexton, Grady Shue, Nate Perkins, Peter McBride, Kevin Jones is down there, Greg Barsby's down there, Nico LaCastro's down there, Simon Lazat's in 25th. And I'm not saying any of this to pick on them, but he beat them all. Eagle McMahon in 39th, Sepu Payu in 39th, Will Schustrick. Those are all the people that Doss beat and then was like, pretty much good to retire.
And I've always said, that's fine. The comeback is great. I'm going to put that in quotes, comeback. He went out pretty well. Not going to lie. Like, short of like walking off winning like a USCGC or like you won a Pro Tour event on your final year towards the end of the season, brush your hands and walk away. Like, that's awesome. So I'm excited. Now, my question, Terry, is you've recently played with him.
Oh, yeah, and I whooped him. So that means I'm coming back too.
Terry's back on the tour,
no.
Even though he's never.
No, I mean, we yes, we played on a 9-hole course where no hole is over 300 feet. And we both had like 4 discs, which I also gave him a really hard time about.
Because they were all hawks?
No, because marauders. No, because every one of his discs that he went out and threw with.
Yeah.
I swear it was like if you walked up to him 10 minutes before and like, hey, I've got this like turtle wax shine for waxing my car. Let me just spray that on your Frisbee.
What?
They all were like super slick. And I even said something to him. I'm like, how are you going to throw these? He's like, what do you mean?
Why were they so slick?
I don't know. That's what I told him. And he didn't think anything of it, which is crazy for someone that knows plastic as intimately as he does. He didn't think much of it. I'm like, here's what I think happened. I think you were maybe had some towels in your car that you at one point wiped down like your dash with or something. Anyway, you got something on a towel and then wiped off a disc. And they were just insane, like
slick.
Huh. Like, it was just weird. And what was even more weird is he didn't think anything of it. And meanwhile, these things were crazy. So, anyway, the question is, where will he finish? What scores will he shoot?
I don't know.
To be fair, Doss is going to play a totally different layout for Beaver State than he's ever played before. Mm-hmm. And I mean different because it's a mix mash of holes to only get to an 18-hole layout. He's used to playing, an East course and a West course. And now there's going to be this mix up and a few of the holes have maybe changed slightly. Nothing I don't think he can overcome. I'm just saying I couldn't even put a number or look at any kind of history because honestly, I just don't even know. He's going to shoot under par.
I would hope so. I don't know. I'm not even going to say that.
I'd be shocked. Well, I'd be shocked. Excuse me. I would put money on it. Let's get that sports agency betting people out.
Okay.
I would put money on it that it's over 1,000 for sure. First round. I was going to say that he's going to average over 1,000 for the weekend.
I would think so. He's kind of got that. He's got that floor. That's probably it's tough.
His floor is so much better than
our ceilings.
Our ceilings.
My question for you is seeing him throw. I know you didn't probably see him throw any distance. Maybe he did warming up, but I would be curious to ask, like, what's his distance right now, forehand and backhand? Because he always had an okay forehand for the day.
He had a pretty good forehand.
Yeah, like him and Avery both had that, the little wind up in the throw. Yeah. So I'm curious as to how he feels forehand and backhand. If he's been now how often is he going out to practice? Is it like is he getting into a nightly putting routine? Like, hey, I'm going to throw 100 putts tonight. I'm just so curious about some of that stuff. Hopefully we'll have to get him on the show. Do we want to put the pressure on before Beaver State? Maybe after. We'll get a summary of him of how he felt afterwards.
Yeah, I was grappling with that as well. I'll send him a text and figure out what he wants to do in terms of joining us. But obviously it has, some people have put it together. A few people were double checking. Is this possible? Did they enter in the right or wrong name? Like, somebody faking it? No, he's He is really on the list, and I know he's got kind of a bigger plan, even that kind of.
Are you going out there, Terry?
Unfortunately,
so you can go caddy.
Not embarrassing, as disappointing as it is not a weekend that I'm around and could be part of it. It's the weekend that leads right into Masters Worlds.
It is.
And if that wasn't the case, I absolutely guarantee you I would be out there. But it leads right into the Masters Worlds this year.
So. I can't go out there because I'm covering the event. I'm doing the directing for Beaver State Fling for MPO and FPO. So I will get to make sure that the cameras get a lot of DOS. I'll just be like, no, ignore anyone that's up by 5 strokes. Just focus on DOS.
Yeah. So looking forward to seeing how it's going to unfold. DOS comes in with the 3rd lowest PDGA number. Simon obviously with the international numbers, and then Nico
cheated.
Then Nate DOS. So. Yeah, should be fun. The rating is 6 years old, but last official rating for Nate Doss was 1038. So
it's gonna be great when he comes out and shoots a 1030 rated round, 1030, 1040. Nothing is gonna surprise me.
And the gentleman we were just talking about, Kieran, looks to be on the list as well, and I'm seeing him out there. I'm searching by PDGA numbers. He has the highest PDGA number out of all the competitors for that event. So, best of luck.
All the competitors, but best of luck.
So I am truly disappointed that I will not be on site or be able to be any part of that. I feel like I'd like to think I fit a small subset of people that would qualify to be on the bag in that capacity.
He didn't have caddies very frequently.
Yeah, he wasn't that big of a caddy guy. He's had a few. Jeff Spring, coincidentally, was his caddy for at least a USDGC or two. But yeah,
I'd love to see Jeff on the bag. Like at
there's a policy. He couldn't.
Oh, because he's an employee?
Yeah, there is a policy, and I just heard of this.
Good thing I'm just a contractor.
Yeah, that's directly would apply to me as well, that I'm just a contractor. But there is, I believe, a policy with regard to Pro Tour employees, and which is, I don't want to say crazy, but even on their paid weekends off, they are not to caddy for tour event players at a tour event.
Off the tour, I don't think it matters. You can't.
Yeah. But so isn't that so? But yes, as you said, we're contractors. So
Terry Ryan Pilcher asks, as everyone I'm sure is going to, has Val talked about playing any tour events in the near future? No, that drive is kind of gone for her. Like
she just really is not as recent as a few weeks ago. It's just not something that appeals to her. She will be playing this weekend in her mom's WGE event, the global event that's taking place at the course I was just talking about, a course where her mom has raised money and has put in new tee pads and is working her tail off at. So Val will be out there playing and be part of that. But again, that's a 9-hole course, short holes, and I'll say she's doing it to support her mom and WGE. She's not doing it because she's
got the itch to play. Yeah, like she's not looking at Kristen Titano being, I can get you too.
Yeah. So, and Ed asked, will Val be on the bag then for Nate? I don't believe that's the plan. I could be wrong. Again, I haven't talked to them about it in a couple of weeks because at one point Nate was still very much on the fence about this.
I could see just Nate not having a caddy,
but I don't believe that she will be. So,
or just pull the ultimate power move and fly in Avery, put him on the bag.
Val wants a Porsche. I don't even think that's her style, but it would be. It would. I couldn't agree more because for those that don't know, Valerie Jenkins is 4-time world champ, 16 majors to her name. Like she's pretty damn good. And as Paige Pierce not too long ago said, Val just never bogeyed. Like she almost said it in that exact sentence. She's just never bogeyed. Yeah. Damn good player. So Baby Doss in the bag. Yeah, I don't think Luka will be out there, but anyway, definitely a storyline to follow. I'm excited to see it. I wish him the best, and I will reach out to him and I'll ask if he would have interest in joining us pre-tournament or post-tournament, because I think he's got to be there for one or the other.
Yeah, make it his choice. We don't really mind either way.
Anyway, so pretty cool.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Put
Put him on a card with Barry and Kenny.
Yeah.
and Feldberg.
Yeah. While we're at it, we'll just go all the way around. Real quick, an update that's kind of just unfolded in recently. It is getting closer to finalizing the idea of having the Disc Golf Guy channel to cover the Cascade Challenge next weekend.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
It's been like lightly on my radar, and then there's been chats, and then it's a long story. But it is very much shaping up in favor of that happening, which is exciting. I have done very little in the state of Washington, or at least what Washington has documented of me being there. So I am very excited about the idea of being out there, and we're working on the details for it. But that will be the Q Series event that will take place next weekend. So look for that. And also, speaking of Q Series, I won't be there because, again, I'll be at Pro Masters Worlds, but we'll be covering the Beehive Classic in Utah as well on the channel. And we got a couple guys that I'm sending out that way.
All right. More Terry Miller Disc Golf Guy coverage.
Yay!
We don't get enough of it anymore.
It has been on a little bit of a break,
I know.
actually, as of lately. So one thing that I'm going to release is is the Chiang Mai footage. And bonus, I think this will be the first time ever. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm going to claim it to be. I'm going to release Chiang Mai rounds 2 and 3. And then at some point, we're also going to have rounds 2 and 3 released with Thai commentary.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I am so excited for it.
I know we've clearly seen commentary from other languages, but never from
we've
Thai.
seen Thai commentary.
I don't think we have.
So, yeah, working on that.
Make it happen, Ter.
I'll try. Hannah Macbeth celebrated her birthday yesterday. I'm kind of over it, but we'll say it again.
Gosh.
Is that
old news?
Is that a fair?
Literally.
That's true. That makes sense. Popping up in my news feed, free plug for them. Dynamic Disc. And I think this is worth sharing. And I'd share it of anyone, but Dynamic Disc posted on the Facebooks, ready to work in disc golf. We're looking for the right candidates to become our next account manager or director of sales, direct to consumer. Is that you? Read the descriptions
Probably
and
not me.
more dynamic job opportunities on our careers page.
Like, I don't know anything about accounting. Can I still have the job?
As long as you oversee my account there,
Yes, Terry.
and you take care of the billing for stuff that's supposed to come to me.
I don't know how Terry has a credit. Who fucking knew?
What?
Wow.
That would be pretty cool. And speaking of some orders, I believe we have our Patreon discs. I was going to say, I didn't get an update yet, but I know they have the stamper, and I know they have the actual physical number of disc ordered, and that's all in the works. So look for those to hopefully get to me so I can get them to you.
Ed Root says, "Hey, JVD, I'm seeing ads pop in occasionally on this YouTube stream. It's not complaining,
Ooh-wee.
just something a little different. I don't know.
It could be at the beginning of every Tuesday night. Was the second we go live, there is an option for me to click on to, first of all, put it into the podcast category of our playlist, and then also I think there is to either monetize or not monetize the overall stream. And tonight, I think I clicked on a different button within there that said, let YouTube insert mid-rolls for you, which is recommended, meaning that every once in a while they'll throw in their own ads.
Oh.
And
yeah, Terry takes care of all this.
yeah, that's
stuff.
like a default setting that I actually clicked on tonight, and I don't know if I normally click off of it. So maybe if it's different tonight, that would be why. If you're a YouTube Premium member, you don't see any of those.
I'm not a YouTube Premium member.
Just for whatever that's worth. I'm trying to think. Did you have any follow-up or thoughts with regard to Emily last week? We saw some support come in off the board, understandably. And I think the resounding response is, yeah, it's just a matter of when. When is she going to win?
Correct. I think you can say that about a few of the FPO players right now, but she's getting there. You know, it might not be this year, but probably in the next 2 years, we're going to see Emily on the top of the one of the DGPT events.
One of the comments that also came in was whether it was the right call or not, it was bad timing. This, of course, with regard to...
the foot fault.
No, hole 18's, I would assume talking about hole 18, just the inbounds or out of bounds.
Oh, no, I bet you...
Oh, no, I guess,
I bet they're talking about
fault.
the foot fault that Haley King had
Sure.
called. Like whether it was right or not wrong, it's bad timing. Yeah, but so I think we drove that into the ground last week. So
I'd like to dig it up.
If you want, I can go take a nap if you want to talk about that again. I've got no interest in it.
No. I don't know that I have too much else that came in that is either on or off of the disc golf course.
No, you played an event this past weekend. I played an event 2 weekends ago. We're back on tour, I guess.
Yeah,
that's
they're not even worth talking about.
No, they're not. We're not.
That shows you how that went.
Yeah.
I did go to a local league last night and managed to bust my shit up pretty good.
Did you fall down?
I did.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was
There's nothing
not
better than
great.
watching a big man fall.
And it's normally not, honestly, a consideration or a real problem for me, but it was a combination of both the shoes that I was wearing, I think, and then insanely slick tee pads over at Valley View. It was rainy, and I threw, and then
Which hole?
Hole 7.
Okay.
And I just went down hard, and it hurt. Like I somehow ended up falling basically forward, and my hand. Oh, there's still little markings. My hand got some gravel type stuff in it, and all of it did not feel good. Not a fan of that.
I'm sorry to hear that, Terry.
But somehow I managed.
Yeah.
Ryan Pilcher's out on the board. Ryan, I got to send you a message offline, so I guess I feel like I'm just talking to you alone right now.
It's a private message for you. That's
Yeah.
public.
Oh, it's spicy too. No?
No.
All right. You want to do our drawing unless I think of anything else we need to talk about?
Let's do our Patreon drawing. Patreon.com/SmashboxTV. Enter, pay us, get an entry, or go to smashbox.tv/weekly giveaways where I pull in those. This week we have 135 people eligible for our giveaway. Terry Miller. What number should we draw? I ordered them by email address.
I think in order, the only appropriate way to recognize and
tell me
honor
1,000. I'm just swear to God, I'm going to backhand
Kristen
you.
is with 1,000 polls.
I wish there was a way I could just automatically make it to 1,000 polls.
That would feel...
That would feel fake.
Yeah.
I have to generate.
I'm sure we could write a script and then have it pull 1,000.
I'm sure we could.
Do you want to do it?
No.
Okay.
Let's just do one then.
Then let's do one.
One. Here it comes. Let me bring that up on the screen.
Very first person we pull.
Very first person we pull is going to be number 107. 107. So I'm going to go to 107. Ron Schwartz. Congratulations, Ron Schwartz.
Heck yeah.
Not a name I recall drawing before, so congratulations. Ron, I will send your information to Terry. Looks like Ron's somewhere out on maybe... No, never mind. He doesn't have his address in here. Okay, I will send a message. I will send your info to Terry. Terry will reach out to you. You can send him your mailing address.
Yes, I would appreciate that. I just got one back for our mailing address from last week, and that'll be going out probably tomorrow for our last week's winner. So thank you very much. Yeah, that's some. Do you have a sealed box
Yes,
of the 2016 Disc Golf Pro Tour cards.
I do. I might have two, but I think I just have one.
A sealed complete
complete set. I do. The 2016 ones. I definitely have one. I've seen on because I'm part of the collector, the disc golf trading card one.
Mm-hmm.
I am part of that. And so I saw somebody putting it out there, said they wanted to sell theirs. And I believe a friend of the show, friend of ours, Taylor Samala,
Mm-hmm.
he, I think, straight up offered $1,200 for it.
Yeah.
Which, $1,200.
I feel like it even went on top of that, but yeah,
Did
he
it?
started at 1,200.
I haven't seen since then.
Yeah.
And this is just the sealed box. This isn't any of the special.
No, none of the special cards, not the champion cards, not the venue cards.
Yeah,
just a sealed, I think 61 card pack.
Because I've got a sealed 61 card pack, and I believe 2 complete sets that were made up of singles cards. Or do I have 2 sealed packs and 1 complete set?
Okay, but you have at least a sealed pack.
Oh no, I have 1 sealed pack, 1 complete set, or 2 complete sets. One of which is in a little box, the other which is in a card binder. So yeah, so I have 3 complete sets plus a bunch of the champion and cards. So,
yeah, just I think the main point of my question is seeing the value of some of those, and obviously card collecting, especially disc golf cards, has certainly gone from 0 to 100 in the last couple of years. And there's been a big boost, and obviously Brixton and all the other things that have unfolded. But just some of those early cards, I remember, and I shared this with Taylor, who you were just referencing. I shared this with him in DMs last night, was we were going back and forth about the cards and various values and sets. Mm-hmm. I said, I very much abandoned the third and fourth year sets of cards for the Pro Tour. I was hot and heavy on the first year, which turned out to be genius. And I was kind of hot and mildly heavy on the second year. And then after that point, I was just like, I don't think anybody cares about these. No, I'm glad I have them, but nobody seems to really even be talking or caring about them. So I want to say it was like, it ended up being the third and fourth year.
People still don't.
I bought some, but not a ton. And coincidentally, I'm just very happy that I had gone heavy on year one. As a comparison, it would be like if somebody was like, hey, these Sexton Firebirds, this first year they came out, I'm going to stockpile those. That ended up being like my decision. So I'm very happy that I did, and it will be helpful and profitable potentially for me. But yeah.
And this question, I guess we could wrap it into the Sexton Firebird question. Did you get your Sexton Firebird this year? Were you able to?
I have not. I see that on the board as well. I have not reached out to Kelvin to see if my favorite Kelvin came through.
Okay. So then my bigger philosophical question is the cards, the collector's discs.
Yep.
When do you turn them? Like, as for you particularly, like, I think, is this something, I don't know if you put much thought in this, is this something you're going to pass down to your kids? Is this something that you're going to hit, like, let's say 65 years old and be like, cool, cashing out? Maybe the cards are worth $1,200, maybe they're worth $12,000. I don't know, but I'm cashing out. Is it retirement age? Although I don't see either of us really ever kind of truly retiring. I might retire from my 9 to 5, but I can't imagine not doing something on the side, disc golf related. So for you, have you thought about that time when?
Because just like you people could always say largely about cryptos and Bitcoins and things like that. Like you don't make any profit till you sell something, right?
Correct.
And like a lot of collectible items and things out there. Great question. At some point, what I would envision, depending on the given products and things that I have, I envision possibly a large paring down, a large trimming of excess that I have.
Okay.
That's just a guess. And again, who knows? Because like you said, this pack of cards that's worth $1,200 today could truly be worth $1,200 in 10 years, or it could be
it could be worth 20, it could be worth 12,000.
Yeah.
Because we've seen disc golf memorabilia, specifically discs that are going for $600, $700, $800 years ago. $150 now, $100. Like there's just some of those old USDGC rocks just didn't maintain the
initial hype and value.
Correct. Yeah. Just as we saw more people come in, more collectible stuff, the newer wave of players that have no tie to that, there's there's
there's clearly, like any collector / flipper or / hoarder, there, depending on what your objective is, there's clearly a time to strike, and you got to see if that's been your concern or objective or not. And for me, it never really has been.
No, and if I'm not exactly,
but I mean, obviously, there's times where it pains you, and you're looking at something like, man, I could have sold this USDGC rock for $700, and right now, maybe it is worth $100 or whatever the case is in some of those really rare scenarios. I mean, there's a USDGC rock that sold for like $825, $925, a 1 of 14, of which I had one myself, and we saw 2 of them sell for just north of $800, which at the time was insane. Borderline insane.
Still insane.
Sure. And right now, I can't imagine getting more than, I'm just going to guess, $200 for it. So, yeah, could you say, oh, you dummy, why didn't you sell it? Well, sure, maybe. But you could also say, hey, you idiot, you should have sold all those disc golf card packs, or good thing you didn't sell those sealed sets for the $100 that they were, because now they're worth $1,200. I mean, you just never know.
I know, and I've thought the same thing, and my collection isn't nearly a percentage of yours when it comes to discs. I still collect a lot of the disc golf cards. I know there's Brixton cards and whatnot, and there's other cards that are coming through. So Tim Court says, I need to sell my Crow comic books. Is now the time, Tim? I don't know. They're about to release a new movie. I don't know if they're going to increase in value, or if you want to sell them now, because if the movie sucks, maybe it tanks the value of any comics you have. I doubt it, because I don't think the two are going to be tied. At best, I believe it could push up the value. I don't think it would push down the value, though, because the people who are going to buy it now will buy it in a year. There might be more people that will buy it after the movie, so we'll see. I don't know.
Ed says, Terry, I did miss Terry's Man on the Street coverage of the Innova special release discs at LVC. Were the new Firebirds released? Yeah, they released Firebirds and Turos, is from everything that I could see. You could obviously go out and buy plenty of them online, and plenty of people, this is nothing new and understandable, plenty of people, especially players, who had sometimes first rights or first access to them, would go in, buy their Firebird for, I think they raised it to $50 this year, but bought their Firebird for $50.
Damn, Sexton.
And before they were even out the door, already had it posted to Facebook for $150 or $200 or $300 or whatever. I didn't pay close attention this weekend to exactly what they were all going for in terms of price, but at a certain point, that's going to get saturated and I think lose its luster as well. I feel like that has already slightly been the case with these in the last few years.
I think the last couple of years haven't been as sought after, because it's really funny that I think the reason why some of the early ones were sought after is people really liked the flight of the disc, and they got this reputation. And at that point, then it became, people wanted them, so that they became a collectible, and there weren't as many. I don't know what the numbers are they're releasing, but you have to imagine, with Nate stepping off of the tour more and more, the name won't carry as much weight, and those will probably become less valuable. Like the newer ones, like there'll be less of a rush to get them. There might still be, I mean, as we know, as we just talked about, those early ones, are they always going to be collectible? Probably, but I don't know what a first run Nate Sexton Firebird. Let's say $500. Is it worth $500 right now? Sure. In 5 years, as Nate steps away, do those drop down to $200, $100? If there's a new up and coming kid that comes in and tears up the scene and gets all these collectible discs, I mean, it's so hard to say with collectibles, but I could definitely see those value of the Sexton Firebirds starting to dip as Nate is stepping away from tour.
Well, and I think one of the very fair challenges / criticisms right now is the fact that these Las Vegas Challenge ones are not like his typical annual release.
Yeah, they're not the glow
champion color glow. They've turned them into sparkles and metal flakes and lusters or whatever all the other variants are. So they're unique in the sense that they're only released here and they're part of this event. Yes, but from like you just said, from a throwability standpoint, they don't carry the same appeal that his typical color glows have in the past. So it feels like you are truly investing more in a collectible disc for the sake of it being collectible, which has its pros and cons when you have that mentality going into it, as opposed to a disc that happened to then turn into a thrower that people enjoyed. So I don't know, but you guys just bought Sexton's next Rivian truck, so good job.
Way to go.
Which is a pretty nice truck for those that are familiar with Rivians.
Well, if he wants to give one to me, I'll take it. A Rivian truck, I'm saying, not a Sexton Firebird.
No, well, we could ask.
Okay.
In other news that I think is really cool and something I want to get on sooner than later, is we saw that the Paul Macbeth Foundation is in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk about that last week?
We did not.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's like right outside of Brooklyn or something.
It's between
smaller...
Manhattan and I looked the other day. Just the fact that there's going to be subways or trains and blah, 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 and literally a chance for tens of thousands or millions of people to, in just close proximity, be able to access it. What was it? 9 holes, Paul Macbeth Foundation. Yeah. And I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me. I just think it's really cool. And what I think this really also proves and shows, clearly we've seen the Ugandas and all these other incredible places, usually remote, desolate,
Mexico,
like all these places. But just the fact that it's the point of serving these underserved communities, and we all know it's not like New York City isn't developed or it isn't. It doesn't have disc golf, and
it's underserved for disc golf, and I think it serves two purposes. One, I mean, it is an underserved disc golf community. Maybe one of the most valuable plots of land that a disc golf course has ever been on, possibly. But also, I think it's a big feather in the Paul Macbeth Foundation cap to get a course in New York City.
Yeah,
like I don't want to say anybody could have gotten it, but it's a first. And so even if you could say, if you want to argue like, having Paul, having a course in New York City isn't that big of a deal. Paul should be focusing on developing countries or something. That feather in your cap for New York City. Huge shout out to the Paul Macbeth Foundation.
Yeah, and I'll cheat. I didn't read all of this article, so I'm gonna at the time, and I'm gonna quickly just pick out a line or two, but one of these in here I'm reading on the paulmacbethfoundation.org. With nearly 8.5 million residents, New York City ranks as the #1 largest city on UDisc Opportunity Index, which measures the potential impact of disc golf on populations worldwide. The addition of this course will make New York City the 4th largest city in the world with a disc golf course, only behind Shanghai, Beijing, and Tokyo, meaning this project promises to bring the joy of disc golf to a vast audience. 10-hole course in Highland Park, which straddles the boroughs of Brooklyn and Queens. So, excuse me. Just freaking awesome. Like, as someone who has been to New York a couple of times and enjoyed all the the touristy things, including Times Square and Manhattan and Broadway and all of the things that has had to offer, just to know that there's now disc golf where truly millions of people will be able to, with relative ease and little expense, be able to access it, I think is so cool. And with this, we saw a lot of especially we'll say old timers and early pioneers say, oh, we tried things for Central Park, or we've set up temporary baskets, or I have a temp basket and I live in the area and we just set up and we played from a couple different spots. Like all those types of stories, but just realizing and recognizing that a permanent course in so many of those areas wasn't truly possible. So whatever they did with this partnership and the newly established New York City Disc Golf Association and just everyone else is unbelievable. It says Upper Highland Park is within a 15-minute walking radius of 3 MTA subway stations that have averaged over 2 million annual riders in the past 5 years. The nearby Q56 bus, meanwhile, garners similar ridership, with the transit accessibility set as a key criterion when proposing disc golf courses in New York City. The site hits the mark with its accessibility for millions of residents. I don't know, just awesome. That's what I will say to that. I love it.
Well, let's end on that, Terry. Let's end on that positive, awesome note.
Doesn't get any better. New York. Now I'm going to just sing Alicia Keys. Concrete Jungles.
Please don't.
Jay-Z.
Nope. Or Frank Sinatra. No.
Fine.
I don't want any of them.
Fine. That's what we've got. It's been an awesome night. Thank you so much to our guests during the regular show where we talked to Ezra and also to Connor. So if you somehow miss those, go back, check out the regular show. Make sure, we'll beg you. We haven't done it in months. We'll beg you to make sure you leave a little, 5-star review wherever you listen to this podcast. Maybe it's on YouTube and you want to give us a little thumbs up or something of that nature. Subscribe, do all those things. But if you're downloading it and listening to it in whatever your favorite podcast app is, just a little click, little thumbs up, little like, whatever. That might help. We need all the help we can get. For Johnny V, I'm the Disc Golf Guy. This is Smashbox TV's podcast 506. Everyone go out there, have a good, fun weekend, and we'll see you next week when you step inside the Smashbox.